Hey everybody, welcome to the Be Weird broadcast. Thanks so much for checking out the stream. So I'm actually gonna get right into it. I actually haven't done politics, but I think about it quite a bit. So just getting set up up a little bit here. Been following the Rittenhouse trial pretty closely, and yeah, it's been wild. So we're gonna get in on this action, and maybe learn a little bit about America, about I don't know, man. I don't know if we're gonna learn anything about America. Let's be honest. So let's see here. We're not gonna do that guy. We're gonna check out different Firefox browser. Let's go here. So I spent some time getting my beer ready. If you got a brewski, cheers. And spent some time getting my setup going, but mostly just like the trials and stuff, like finding like live streams that we could actually use. So I didn't actually do the Streamlab stuff. So let's just get that going real quick. Better. All right, cool. So we got ourselves what we need. Just gonna get me up on there. Drop that. There we go. Okay, we good. We good. We good. Okay, so if I was checking it out earlier, this was the Rittenhouse trial. They're still awaiting a verdict. And like the live stream just sort of ends. I'll kill the chill hop vibes because we're about to head into the dark abyss of the American political experiment. Sorry, chill hop, your time's over. All right, so let's check out what was going on here. So like this is like this really long clip. Nothing happens for like 7 hours, and then there's this little bit at the end. So let's find out.
I'm going to ask you to return tomorrow at 9.
It's hard to scrub just because it's such a long clip. Come on now. There we go. Speed this sucker up. Looks like they muted the clerk.
Good afternoon, the most patient people in America. We're going to break for the day, and I'm going to ask you to return tomorrow at 9. Is that going to be okay? And
Wow.
I know we're over our time that I talked about initially.
Third day.
And you're magnificent jurors. Please adhere to the same rules. Don't read, watch, or listen to any account of the trial.
Wait, this is streamed like 8 hours ago. I mean, I'm a fool.
Don't discuss the case with anyone, not even with your fellow jurors.
Which day are we on? 9 hours ago, 4 hours ago. Streamed 1 hour ago. There we go. Sorry about that, chat. They all say live. I think it was this guy right here.
Vous le savez, ma blonde est prof.
You get French ads because this is Quebec, everybody. I think the clerk is just muted. My volume's turned up.
For the evening, which
Okay, here we go.
good evening, everyone. You've certainly put in a full day and have asked to retire for the evening, which is fine. And I'm going to ask that is 9 o'clock okay again tomorrow? Okay. Any questions, anybody? Now, does it pertain to your deliberations at all? As opposed to mechanics about whether or not
I could take the jury instructions home.
Can you take the jury instructions home?
No. You have to keep the jury instructions.
Yes. Yes, but you obviously can't talk to anybody about them. Yeah, yes, you may do so. And any question? Okay, same rules. Don't read, watch, or listen to any count of the trial. And don't discuss the case with anybody. And we'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy the evening.
Third day of deliberations. This just makes me want to go over the closing arguments again. I kind of missed the defenses. So I honestly kind of want to go over the defense again. I was like worn out by the prosecution. They put out a really good closing argument, even though like they
are the alternates in the library
screwed up like throughout like the vast majority of the case, like some crazy shit. But yeah, it might just so be that the Rittenhouse is still stuck in deliberations. This was streamed just a few hours ago. Third day. So if that's not happening, we'll check out the Ahmaud Arbery. Ahmaud Arbery or the closing arguments.
Good afternoon, the most patient people in America. We're going to break for the day, and I'm going to ask you to return tomorrow at 9. Is that going to be okay? And I know we're over our time that I talked about initially. And you're magnificent jurors. Please adhere to the same rules. Don't read, watch, or listen to any account of the trial.
Yeah. Okay. We just listened to this. Okay. Strange. And this clip does nothing. Oh no. Here we go. This is about Arbery. We're day 10, 9 hours ago. Let's just make sure there's not something more. Day 11. Do we have it? Day 10. Day 11 of jury selection. Day live stream. Yeah, okay, so this is it. I scrubbed it to somewhere good.
You were here when Officer Rash testified, is that right?
I was.
Yeah,
Okay. Now right here.
Oh, so I'm a little lost in where we are in this trial, so this might be a little bit...
Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
If it's a bit scuffed, I might just go to closing arguments, because it's just at least coherent on the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff. And then, like, when we get tired of that, we can go check out the Ahmaud Arbery stuff. I just have a hard time. The only thing I know about is that this guy's super racist. He's just like a big ol' one of them old boys. Oh wow, look at these people drinking water. Wow. That's
Gentlemen, welcome back. Let everybody get settled in for just a moment.
we're settled.
Let's get everybody settled. Again, welcome back. Hopefully everybody had a good evening. We are ready to go ahead and proceed with the evidence in this case from the state.
Thank you, Judge. All right. Mr. McMichael, I'm actually going to hand you back your transcript.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so there you go. Now, when you were transported from the scene to the police station, you began your interview with Detective Nohilly at approximately 3:12 in the afternoon. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. I agree with you.
All right. And it ended at approximately 5:30. Is that right?
Sounds right.
All right, so this was like about 2.5 hours of an interview.
Sounds correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the interview began 2 hours after the shooting.
Yes.
And you recall that during that time frame, they gave you an hour to write up 3 pages about what happened.
Yes.
All right.
So good so far.
And one of the things you said yesterday is that you felt you and your dad needed to find out what was happening.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And so one of the things that you said yesterday was that you thought first that Mr. Arbery, the man you'd seen on February 11th, may be the one who had went by.
Yes.
Okay. And then you said that you thought maybe Matt had seen him.
That's correct.
And Matt is Mr. Albense?
Yes.
Might say some of it. Oh, it helps with that.
Then you said he may have broken in.
Correct.
Okay, we got a lot of maybes going on here.
And then you said maybe Larry English is over on his property.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Lots of maybes going on here. Okay. This guy seems pretty clear of mind.
And later you indicated that you thought that maybe
Maybe.
Mr. Arbery had been caught.
Yes.
This guy does not look happy.
And then you said that you thought maybe he was trying to get away from the police.
Yes, ma'am.
Perhaps.
But you hadn't heard any sirens or anything in the neighborhood.
Not yet. No, ma'am.
No sirens. No sirens. But maybe. Maybe.
So I want to talk to you about some of the legal terms that you used yesterday, okay? All right, so first I want to talk to you kind of about probable cause, all right? And you testified yesterday that you had been trained in the military for the Coast Guard, that even when you had arrest powers, before you could arrest somebody, you needed probable cause, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And you even gave the jury the definition of probable cause, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You said it was a level of suspicion by a reasonable and prudent person, given the overall circumstances, to believe a crime has been committed.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Okay. Seems
But
like
that's
it
really
is
only
stuff.
half the definition, isn't it?
That's
Oh.
what I was taught in my training. Was that
Oh.
definition right there?
So
Only half the definition?
isn't it correct that, well, let me ask it this way. Didn't you learn from your training that you need two parts?
Reasonable suspicion first, and then probable cause.
So
Yeah.
isn't it true from your training that you need two parts of probable cause? You need probable cause that a crime has actually been committed and that the person you're arresting is the one who committed the crime.
Oh my goodness.
That would be correct.
All right.
Oh my goodness.
But you left out the second part, that you actually have to have probable cause that the person you're arresting is actually the one committing the crime.
Police always forget that part.
That makes sense. That was the person that I assumed that was committing the crime. That was the probable cause was him.
there it is. I assumed he done did it. He's closest, everybody. I seen a crime, and I assume that man did it. Therefore, even though I'm not a police officer, I done have powers to citizens arrest
You assumed
him.
he was the one committing the crime.
Yes.
I see. Yeah, she jumps on it.
All right, so you'd agree that as law enforcement, when you were there in the military as a boarding officer, that even if you know a crime is committed,
Uh-huh.
when you have several suspects, you can't just go and arrest the first suspect. You have to actually have evidence that that person is the one who committed that crime, correct?
That's stupid.
That's correct. And I believe I had it with the videos that I have seen with him, with Mr. Arbery being the one that has been there multiple times, and then what I witnessed on the 11th with him sneaking through those yards, or through that yard, and then the way that he reacted to me when I put the lights on him, reacted like he was going for a gun, and then went into that house after we had our altercation, and then Mr. Albenzi being there
What are you
that
doing
same
with him?
evening and verified that on the video is the same guy that he's seen, and then seeing Mr. Albenzi pointing down the road led to probable cause, and then Dad saying that was the same individual, led to probable cause that it is the same guy that has been in that house that.
Okay, I can't do it anymore. This guy's just talking like an idiot. But he just admitted to so much there. Like, I seen some videos, and this guy is the same guy? Like, what?
And breaking into his stuff has been stolen. So the overall, the totality of everything led me to go down there and see if that was him.
The totality of it, everybody.
So the totality of all of that
Yeah.
led you to go see if that was him.
Yes.
For any
Meaning the guy
newcomers, this is
on
the
the
Ahmaud
left.
Arbery trial. Just nothing happened with the
Correct.
Kyle Rittenhouse stuff.
All right, so you used the word totality of the circumstances a whole bunch here, haven't you?
Yes, I guess. Yes, ma'am.
All right. So
Totality.
let's go ahead and back up for a second.
All right, let's back it up.
You had your gun stolen, correct?
I
On
did.
January 1st, 2020.
Yes, ma'am.
And you had a suspect in mind for that theft of that gun, correct?
Yes, when I got the videos
Who
from
gets his gun stolen?
Mr. Perez, Diego, looking through, there was a truck that came through that I haven't seen in the neighborhood before. And after looking at the truck, I thought it might have been some teenagers that I would see on that part of the county. And it turned out that it was a neighbor on the other side, and then that was as far as I went with that.
Who's David Sorrells?
I have no idea.
Who's David
Really?
Sorrells?
Yes, ma'am.
He's not a Facebook friend of yours?
Not that I believe.
says right here on Facebook.
Would it help to refresh your recollection if you looked at some of your Facebook posts that you shared with Mr. Sorrells?
Absolutely.
All right, go ahead and take a look at this.
Okay, this is actually comedy hour. This is way better than the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff. Straight comedy hour.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, we're still here.
Okay, alright. Show him the Facebook post. He said some things, so he knows this person. Facebook proves it.
Part.
Alright. Show the damning evidence. He's looking at it. The evidence is damning him. He is currently being damned. Oh.
Yeah, I reckon.
All right,
Yeah.
do you know who David Sorrells is?
I do not. He must have been on the neighborhood page. I do remember the message now, and
Okay, that's fair.
I believe he must saw it on the neighborhood Facebook page.
Okay.
All right, so on January 1st, he says he's sorry about your gun being stolen out of your car. Is that right?
Yes, that's what he wrote.
All right, and then you indicated that you had a pretty good feeling about who stole it,
Yes, ma'am.
and you found out where he lived. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you'd been watching him for several days.
Yes.
That was not Mr. Arbery.
No, that was the truck I was telling you about.
Okay.
A
And you
truck.
then indicated that this may be the same individual who has been causing trouble in the neighborhood.
Yes, ma'am.
My
Okay.
guy.
But that's not Mr. Arbery.
No, ma'am.
So why, in your written statement, 2 hours after the homicide, do you put down the very first sentence? On January 1st of 2020, approximately between 9 and 10:30, I had my vehicle broken into and my Smith & Wesson gun stolen out of my truck.
Because
Whoa.
I was aware of things of burglaries and vehicles being broken into the neighborhood, and then on top of seeing what I saw on the 11th, that there are things being broken into. I was under concern that Mr. Arbery could be a suspect in this, or he could not be. But like I said prior, he is the one that I have seen, and he is the one that has been in that house several times. So of course I'm thinking he's a suspect. But I don't know if it was him or the other people that they've seen or if I've heard about.
My guy, you're backtracking so hard right now. Holy cow, oh my god. This is hard. This is almost hard to watch. I didn't realize. Oh my god. I didn't realize that, like, lawyers are cruel and vicious. Oh, she's tearing him apart.
So, given you don't know who stole your gun, there was no probable cause to arrest Mr. Arbery for the theft of your handgun on January 1st, 2020.
No, ma'am.
You also didn't know who had stolen the items out of the boat, Mr. Larry English's boat, did you?
No, but I had a probability. I was thinking that the probability of who was doing that was the one that continued to go into this house, that has been caught in this house several times.
Yeah,
which
it
was
was-
Mr. Arbery.
It's the same.
But you had no evidence he'd ever taken anything off of Mr. English's boat.
Other than that, there's been stuff stolen out of that house, and that he has been in that house several times.
Yeah, that still
They
doesn't
have-
help.
Stolen items
If
on the boat.
someone goes
And you
to,
got that from your mom.
Yes.
oh wow.
And then you got him inside.
This is so fascinating. We're
construction
getting
site, right?
we're getting a
Inside
view into
220.
how police
Yes,
officers think. This is how police think.
And at the point in time, on February 23rd, you knew about October 25th,
Yes.
November 18th,
Yes.
and February 11th.
Yes.
No idea what they're talking about. I guess there's different times at this.
You also knew that the white couple had gone in on November 17th, right?
I did.
Yeah, different people going into the same building. And he's like suspicious of it. You know, this is where he's getting his
You also
totality.
knew that there was a shady-looking guy under the bridge, correct?
I did.
A shady guy. Could it have been him?
And you also suspected this guy in the neighborhood with the truck may have been the one who stole your handgun. He might have also been someone who was stealing things in the neighborhood, as you said to Mr. Sorrells, right?
And for a couple of days, they decided that was not him. Or was not the person that had the truck. That I thought it was a different truck. So I said, no, that's not.
Was that Rob Way?
I don't know who Rob Way is.
So Kim Ballesteros didn't tell you that she suspected Rob Way in the neighborhood as being the one who stole her purse out of her car January 30th.
Not that I recall. No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. This guy just seems like he doesn't.
And you're telling this jury that your mother never told you that Larry English suspected his contractors?
No, ma'am.
All right, so about February 11th. I want to make sure yesterday. Yesterday, when you testified, did you testify that Mr. Arbery actually came toward you and started lifting up his shirt?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but you never said that before to anyone, did you?
I put it in the statement.
The statement, your handwritten statement?
The written statement, I believe I did.
Wait, what?
Can I hand you a copy of your handwritten statement?
Sorry, that Mark didn't get it.
Was there or was there not a man who was lifting his shirt up in your description of the events that transpired? Okay, this guy slowly reads his own words, realizes that he has no idea
I was
what
incorrect. I said reach into his pants on the written statement.
reaching into
Right, so in your statement, you indicated that I was getting out of my car to ask him what he was doing,
This is a written statement?
Correct.
Okay.
and he turned toward my vehicle and reached into his pants, which led me to think that he may have a weapon.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's all you need nowadays. That's all you really need. Just gotta have someone adjust their pants for a little bit.
Reach like that to his pants?
No. That's
And then you indicated I immediately put my car in reverse and the individual went into the house under construction, correct?
yes, ma'am.
Just a dude checking
And that
out the
was-
construction site. Yo.
Oh, I know. All right, can everybody see now? Okay.
Yo, these guys wanted it. They wanted the legal kill and they didn't get it. They're like, oh man, oh no, what's going
And
on?
that was the publishing of State's Exhibit 120, the video clip entitled Video MP4.
Okay, alright, I get it.
Is that your car pulling down?
It is, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Maybe it's a little weird. It's kind of like walking through a building, but like, why would you put your nose into something like that? Why would you care? That's what I don't get. It's so strange.
Now right here,
He's standing there, menacingly. It's literally this the Patrick meme, like.
Mr. Arbery have anything in his hands?
Not I could see, no, ma'am.
Have a backpack with him?
He did not.
Any sort of bag with him?
Not at that time, no,
No. He's wearing a big long t-shirt, isn't he?
ma'am. Yes.
And shorts cut off at the knees.
I think they were cargo shorts, but yes.
And he's got running shoes on.
I can't tell.
They're cool. Dude, walk.
You see the Nike logo swoosh in the reflection?
No, ma'am.
I'll back it up for you.
Is this an ad?
See it then?
No, ma'am.
Oh, the shoes. In the
That was
shoes.
State's Exhibit 117 that I just published.
Oh god, the brightness. Okay, alright. Seem pretty normal.
Now, that particular evening, you've seen the body cam video of Officer Rash, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And Officer Rash told you and told your father that
No,
Larry English
files. Chupacabra.
said Mr. Arbery had never taken or stolen anything from the open unsecured construction site. Is that correct?
My understanding was never saw him take anything from there. Yes, ma'am. Never saw anything taken.
Okay.
Yeah,
And Larry
lawyers are
English
supposed
actually had never had anything stolen from the open unsecured construction site.
Yes, he had stuff stolen out of his boat that was inside that house. Yes, ma'am.
But you didn't investigate that crime as a law enforcement officer, correct?
No, ma'am.
Because you weren't a law enforcement officer, were you?
That's correct.
Oh, that's right.
All right. And your father wasn't a law enforcement officer either.
You're
He
not.
was not.
Okay, so
So
you're basing your probable cause on something that was rumor that your mother told you about things being stolen off the boat.
I was basing it on the 11th for seeing him in there again and hearing that the stuff was stolen off of that boat, and then hearing it from the other neighbors, and then from seeing on the 11th. So, yes, it happened.
Yeah, I
and
done
then
heard
seeing
it.
him come in multiple times, and then
I done heard it.
everything that followed up on the 23rd. Yes,
Yeah.
that's.
You were here when Officer Rash testified, is that right?
I was.
Okay, and you heard Officer Rash, under cross-examination, answer the defense attorney's question about if Mr. Larry English had filed a police report about items stolen off of his boat, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and
Right.
he said the officer assigned would have investigated it, right?
Right.
Yes.
That makes
All
sense.
right, and that means interviewing Larry English, correct?
Yes.
And so an officer who's investigating the theft of items off the boat would have found out from Larry English that the boat had been moved back and forth to Douglas, correct?
Objection, speculation.
Also, welcome to the stream.
He's asking him about to assume what Officer Rash would have done had he been asked to make a report about thefts by Larry English, and then how he would follow up on that. This is all speculation on the witness's part.
Speculating as to what Rash would have done, that's the same.
I'll ask a better question, Your Honor.
Yeah. That's better.
On cross-examination, do you remember Officer Rash testifying that the officer assigned, if Mr. English had filed a report, would have investigated that?
Yes.
Okay, and that Officer Rash, you heard him testify that that would have included interviewing Larry English, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
All
so
right,
already had
and
the
you heard
witness
Larry
testimony.
English testify that the boat had been moved back and forth between Douglas, correct?
He learned that. Yes.
Well, he didn't learn that. He knew it. He'd moved the boat back and forth, right?
You talking about Rash or
Relevance
English?
is, I object. I'm not sure what the relevance is about asking him what he heard people testify in court if he didn't know with his own personal knowledge on particular dates. Hearing what people later come and testify about in court is asking him to comment on the testimony before the jury. It doesn't seem to be a relevant inquiry. What he did and what he knew at those particular times, I think, sure. But what they testify about in court and how that may change his thoughts about dates in the past doesn't appear to be relevant.
It's overruled. Go ahead.
Overruled.
And you heard Larry English testify that he suspected his subcontractors.
Right.
Yes?
That makes sense.
That Larry English suspected his subcontractors of having stolen the items off of his boat. You heard him testify to that.
Here. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you heard him testify that he told that to Officer Rash.
Yes.
And you heard Officer Rash testify that he told that to your father.
Yes.
Wow. Wait, what? So he had a very plausible explanation? Oh, God.
All right, so let's go ahead and
This is such a bad start.
talk about what was happening on February 23rd, 2020.
All right. Get your
All
notebook
right, so
out.
you personally first saw Ahmaud Arbery as he was running ahead of you on Burford.
That's correct.
Oh,
Okay, and you
wait, what? Is it live? I thought it was gonna go to. Yo, I thought it was like kicked off for another day, my dudes. Yeah, no, it's kicked off for another day. We're watching the Ahmaud Arbery.
were driving behind him in the white F-150 pickup truck.
Yeah,
ma'am.
yeah, Ro, it's
And at that time,
another day of deliberation, I thought. Unless I'm missing something. Maybe, you know what? I just check Hassan. Hassan will know. He's got the good connects. But I'm pretty sure that the trial's pushed off to another day. We checked it out at the beginning. Yeah, he's watching the Ahmaud Arbery trial too.
when you first saw him, he didn't have a bag, did he?
No, ma'am.
Didn't have a backpack.
He did not.
Wasn't carrying a box.
Another day.
And you could see his hands as he ran.
Yes.
Right? And you could see that he was wearing the cargo shorts and the t-shirt.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And you didn't know who he was. I mean, you didn't know him personally.
I didn't know him personally. No, ma'am.
Okay. You didn't know his name.
No, ma'am.
All right. Didn't know anything about him.
Nothing.
He didn't know you.
Not that I'm aware of.
It's a no.
You just knew that he
No.
was the guy who was on video at the open
I
unsecured
believe you
construction site.
entirely.
That I saw on the 11th.
And at this point in time, when you first see him on Burford, he's not reaching into his pockets.
No, ma'am. Not running. No, ma'am.
And he never yelled at you guys.
hung jury?
Never threatened you at all?
No, ma'am. Not
Never
verbally.
brandished any weapons?
Sorry, Your Honor, he's trying to finish his answer.
Yeah, he did not threaten me verbally. No, ma'am.
All right. Didn't brandish any weapons?
No, ma'am.
Nope.
Didn't pull out any guns?
No, ma'am.
Didn't pull out any knife?
Standing
No,
there,
ma'am.
menacingly.
Never reached for anything, did he?
No.
He just ran.
Yes, he was just running.
So
gonna be a hung
at this
jury.
point in time, you catch up to him on Burford by pulling up next to him. Is that right?
Yes, pulling alongside, keeping with my window right there. I did.
So as he's running down the street, okay, say this is the street, he's on this side of the road, consistent with someone driving forward, or is he on that side of the road looking at oncoming traffic?
Oncoming traffic.
Okay. So he's
Yes.
on the side for oncoming traffic.
That's correct.
All right. So you pull up next to him. Is that right?
Yes.
You startled him.
No.
No.
Are you a mind reader?
I'm not, but I could see his actions, the way that he didn't veer, he didn't run off. I came up to him slowly, just like I would anybody else, and I've never startled anybody doing that before. Anybody walking or jogging or running.
Yeah, they're really farming the drama out of this whole Kyle Rittenhouse thing. You know, I think the judge is really trying to use it to advance his political career. You know.
I've never had anybody become startled on that, so I
How
don't know why
many-
we.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. How many times have you pulled up on strangers that you don't know next to them with a pickup truck to ask them what they're doing in your neighborhood?
Good question.
I don't think I have in that situation, but I have pulled up on people that are running behind.
Oh, come on, Chupacabra.
Coming up behind them. But I mean, if you could be startled from somebody coming up behind you, is one thing or another. You can tell if somebody is, but I didn't startle him.
I thought the story was that like the jury kicked out or the judge kicked out MSNBC because like one of their freelance journalists was chasing down like the bus or something, trying to like piece together with license plates or some dumb shit, and the judge like barred them. Yeah, it's just a rating. Yeah, I there's no way. I think Newsmax is just milking it. Yeah.
I didn't come up on him hard or fast or blowing the horn or anything. I just pulled alongside him on my side of the road, right at the yellow line.
Pulled up on him innocently.
Once he acknowledged me and saw that I was there, is when I came a little closer and stayed with him.
Yeah, pulled up with my giant truck.
So he's running, you pull up, he looks at you, and you say to him, what?
I say, hey, what's going on? Hold on a second.
All right. And he didn't say anything back to you.
No, ma'am.
All right. He just kept running.
He stopped and turned and went backwards. That was the first time. That was the one caught
What a smart.
on Mr. Roddy's or Mr. Brian's video. Was the turn out to be the first qualification.
He did a turnabout.
Okay, so hold on. You pull up next to him, he stops, and then he turns and starts running this way. Back down Burford towards Attila.
Yes,
And then you back up. Is that right?
I did.
So you back up the truck,
Starts backing
Follow
up
him.
to follow him.
and at some point in time, what do you say to him at that point?
I'm asking him, what are you doing? You know, what's going on? What happened down there? Why is there somebody? You know, I asked him why there's somebody pointing down the road. As I'm talking, that's when he turns and runs back down Burford.
So now you're asking him, hey, why is somebody pointing down the road? That's what you're asking him?
That's what I was trying to get to ask him why there are people pointing down the road.
All right, Mr. McMichael. Not asking for generalities and what's in your head. I want to know exactly what you were saying to the man jogging down the street. Do you understand?
Yes,
Okay. What exactly did you say to him the first time you pulled up to him?
I want to talk to you.
It's not what you said the first time.
And he turned and ran.
He stopped, turned and then went the other direction.
Okay. And that was an indication to you that he didn't want to talk to you.
Yes,
That was an indication he was not going to stop for you.
yes,
Okay.
That's a hard
And
thing to
at that point in time, you chose to put your truck in reverse and back up at him.
You're pursuing.
back up along with him.
Yeah, actively pursuing.
So he's trying to get away from you, doesn't want to stop, doesn't want to talk, and you're backing up to go along with him.
That's correct.
And at some point in time then, he turns to run up Burford, right?
Yes, I've asked him again, or asked him that I wanted to talk to him. I don't know exactly what I said, but it was to the effect that I want to talk to him and what happened down the road.
Oh yeah, follow. So much. Yeah, Chupacabra.
And at this point in time, you're not wearing any sort of uniform.
No, ma'am,
You're not in a marked patrol car.
I'm not.
You don't have any badges on your sleeves.
I do not.
Okay. Very good.
And when you told the police, you were talking to them about
Okay, so much of this is already really fucky. Someone pulls up on me in a fucking truck and says, "Hey, what are you doing?"
Right.
No. No.
Do you remember telling the police? So I pull up to him and say, "Hey, you know what's going on? He's running. He won't stop." I said, "That's him. Stop right there." I'm at the top. I'm at the bottom of page 8, top of page 9.
Oh, like his written.
Stop right there. Stop where you're at. Do you remember telling the police that that's what you said?
That's what's on here. Yes, ma'am.
That's what's on here. No, she asked you if you remembered saying that to the
You want me to read it?
I'm just asking you if that's what you said. You said, "What's going on? He won't stop." I said, "That's him. Stop right there. Stop where you're at."
Yeah, that's part of it.
That's part of it. Yeah.
So at this point, you're ordering him to stop.
Ordering him
Is that
to
correct?
stop.
I wouldn't say ordering. I was asking him.
How is it? What do you mean asking?
Like nicely and politely, "Please, sir, stop."
At first, it was not police or service. Hey, could you stop? Please, yes, stop for a second. Stop for a second.
Police.
My voice inflection and tone. I was trying to keep the situation calm.
Yo, again, perfect insight into police. I wasn't demanding he stop. He was fully legally in the right to run and not talk to me. And I was being polite, even though I wasn't saying polite things or like addressing him in a polite way or respecting what he wanted to do. And my voice was definitely probably not positive, but I was just asking.
And this is at the time that he's already decided that he doesn't want anything to do with you and has run back down Burford towards Attila.
Yes.
It's a big difference.
And then we see what happens in the night owl video. Is that right? Is that what happens next?
Brian, yes. Yes, around that time.
I don't know, man. She's gonna use words to try to make it look bad, and he's gonna try to use words to make it look good. But every time he tries to make it look good, it's hard to believe him that he's being honest with the situation as it transpired. Because if he's being honest and he wasn't actually commanding, he wasn't ordering, he was asking, then what follows next is really jarring. Like, how did we get from an asking, "Hey, how do you do," to like the next step? So that's why she's trying to be like, "You ordered him," because that matches the tone and the tension that would lead to such a violent altercation. So yeah, I know it's semantics, but it is very interesting. It's super, yeah, it's a little insight. Okay, lady, you're using the computer. Uh-huh.
I apologize, Your Honor. Something's not right.
Yeah, I can tell.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Are you using
One.
There we go. Okay. This is file number
Is this what we have?
CHC2. Oh my god.
Yes.
You're backing up, and then he's running away from you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yo,
And
my
then
god.
is this your truck pulling forward after him?
It is. Yes, ma'am.
Oh my god. That is so scary.
So at this point in time,
Right here. Why did you gun
you
it?
could have just stopped, right?
Yeah.
I could have.
Can you see me?
You could have just let him run.
You completely agree with me on
I
that?
could
Okay,
have,
that's cool.
but I also wanted to make sure that everything was okay down the road and see what was happening. I wanted to ask him, at least ask him what was happening, and see what he would say and go from there.
Despite the fact that you know about the Fifth Amendment, you know that no one has to talk to anyone they don't want to talk to, right?
Right.
That's correct.
Right. Huh.
And
Police officer doesn't know how the law works.
you said
Funny.
that you wanted to know what had happened and that you saw Matt Albenzi out in the street when you came out with your shotgun from your house, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't go down and ask Mr. Albenzi what was going on, did you?
I did not.
Okay. So at one point in time, I think you said you thought, well, maybe somebody had been hurt or something had been broken into, or maybe Larry English was down there, right?
That's correct.
Right. But you didn't head that way to see what exactly had happened, did you?
I did not, because Mr. Albenzi was pointing down the road. I took it as whatever happened, you need to go that way. You need to go that way. Something has happened. And then trying to ask him was to see what was happening. What happened?
Because something had happened.
Something has happened.
Wait, what? Your Honor, we need a new CPO.
All right, so at this point, right here, where he's running, you're still yelling at him, stop, I want to talk to you, stop.
No, ma'am. Once I watched him run and then pull onside him again is when I engaged with him again.
All right, so we're talking about going all the way down Burford.
No, ma'am. It was only another 100 feet from there, maybe 200 feet. There was a wooded area right where I spoke to him again.
All right, so let's take a look at
A
this.
dude in a truck near a wooded area?
Which-
Oh,
I want to make sure we have the right.
like that's a wrap. That's like game over. No one wants to be in that situation, much less like fuck. This is hard to watch.
What we're looking at here on the blown-up board is going to be States Exhibit 300. So taking a look at the blown-up board of States Exhibit 300,
Okay.
So are you asking him to take a look at it?
I'm going to go ahead and publish it up there so that we can go ahead and see it. But that's
Oh,
the
I'm
blown-up board.
going to change the title because this is more. Yeah, this is like Ahmaud Arbery. Rittenhouse. This is not happening tonight. Sentencing was what's it called? Like we're gonna reconvene. We're gonna take a hiatus.
Are you able to see that on your screen?
Yes, ma'am.
So, got the Bryan house. You said you went down here to maybe a wooded area. Is it fair to say that that wooded area is right here?
Yes, it's right at the corner of that house or lot right there. The last open area.
Right here.
No, ma'am. Right there.
here?
Yes.
All right. And so you chased him down here, and at this point in time, you cut him off.
No, ma'am. I'm alongside him and ask him to stop. I want to talk to him, and then after I asked him, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Hey, hold on a second. Is when he finally stopped, and I was like, okay, now we can talk. We can see what's going on. And then as soon as I said the cops are coming, after he didn't respond to me or talk to me, I said, hey, the police are coming. Stay right here. That's when he turned and ran the other direction.
That look he just made.
You
Oh,
agree?
I'm sorry, I was dealing with bullshit. Sorry, I'm gonna go back.
And ask him to stop. I want to talk to him, and then after I asked him, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Hey, hold on a second. Is when he finally stopped, and I was like, okay, now we can talk. We can see what's going on. And then as soon as I said the cops are coming, after he didn't respond to me or talk to me, I said, hey, the police are coming. Stay right here. That's when he turned and ran the other direction.
You'd agree with me when I say that you never, ever told the Glenn County Police Department or in your written statement that you said to Mr. Arbery, the police are coming.
I don't know if I did or not. If it's not on there, then I didn't say it. But I mean, I could have missed it from everything that was happening and write it down 2 hours later. I might have missed it, but on the assumption that they do that. Because I was still under the impression that my dad has called the police, so I'm under the impression that the cops are coming.
Yeah, you know that. A little further back, more of an oh fuck type. Okay, we're at 110:52. Is it worth going back for? 107. Let's see here. Is it when like they bring up that chart? Nah. Okay. Fuck it. 110. I mean, she's laying. I think there's just gonna be haymakers from him out. Like, he's starting to lose his frame. Like,
The cops are coming. After is when he
And at this point in time,
yeah. For,
talk. I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Hey, hold on a second. Is when he finally stopped, and I was like, okay, now we can talk. We can see what's going on. And then as soon as I said the cops are coming, after
right.
he didn't.
Yeah. And then
ever told.
she
Don't
lays
know if I
into
did
him.
or not. If it's not on there, then I didn't say it. But
Shambles. Absolute shambles.
I mean, I could have missed it from everything that was happening and write it down 2 hours later. I might have missed it, but on the assumption that they do that. Because I was still under the impression that my dad has called the police, so I'm under the impression that the cops are coming.
Wild. This is a good old boy. This is
So
a
talking about that,
old boy. Wild.
I'm going to have you take a look at page number 9. Again, that last paragraph. So, in your statement to Detective Nohilly, only a couple hours after the homicide of Ahmaud Arbery, you basically say, he goes around the corner, comes back, he's, man, something's not right here. I tell him to stop, grab the gun out of the truck. I say, hey, stop. He runs back. Man, you call 911 yet? Find my phone, call, give it to my dad, said, call the cops, let's get the cops. So it's only after you grabbed your shotgun out of the truck at the corner of Holmes and Satilla that you say, hey, let's call the cops, and you hand the phone to your dad to call the cops.
Oh.
That's when I found out that he did not call the police. When I realized that he has not called the police.
Wow. Oh
Then-
my god, guy. You're already grabbing your shotgun? He looks like he
Also,
got
page
caught
9.
cheating and is trying to remember his alibi.
You never indicated that Mr. Arbery actually stopped long enough for
Oh,
you
yeah,
to have
he's
a
gonna start
conversation with
sweating.
him. Is that correct? At the top of page 9?
I caught on Twitter, on legal Twitter, that like he gets destroyed in this.
Yes, I do. I said, he's running, he won't stop. I said, that's him. Stop right there. Stop where you're at. Call the cops, you know. And I'm assuming, or what I'm saying there is I told him that I called the cops. There he is. He starts acting funny, and then he takes off running. So he was stopped. If he takes off running, then he was stopped at the point.
He's
Remember
running.
yesterday telling this jury that that's what you said to your dad? Call the cops, you know, there he is? Do you remember telling this jury just yesterday that that was what you said to your dad? Call the cops, there he is. He starts acting funny, he takes off running.
I believe I said, have you called the cops yet? And then on this here is what I mentioned to the police in the interview. And reading this and knowing how I was all over the place when I was giving that statement, this is what I was talking about. This is what I believe was what I was talking about.
Okay, all right.
But you'd agree, nowhere in here do you say that Mr. Arbery actually stopped. You said, stop right there, stop right where you're at, and he takes off running.
He takes off running.
So nowhere in here do you indicate to Detective Nohilly that he stopped long enough for you to say the police are on their way and that that's why he took off running. Nowhere in here and nowhere in your written statement is that indicated.
In those terms, saying it in that verbatim, I did not. But looking at this and how I was still under stress, still under the impact of what happened a couple hours after this, just 2 hours after the shooting, and then seeing how I was talking, under stress, nervous, scared.
Yeah.
I know what I was talking about here.
You mean
and
you weren't
that's
coached?
What I was talking about.
You mean you weren't coached?
Call the cops, you know. Stop where you're at, call the cops. I'm probably choppy trying to talk to him, being nervous, and saying that I was saying this to Mr. Arbery, and then he takes off running. If you're running, I'm not saying he continued running, he takes off running. I think that's what I was talking about there.
So what were you nervous about while giving the statement?
I just killed a man. I had blood on me still. I was the most traumatic event of my life. I was scared to death. I mean, it was the most traumatic event of my life. I don't know anybody who wouldn't be scared or stressed or terrified or anything. I mean, it was horrible.
I'm talking about giving your statement 2 hours later at a police station. You were nervous because you thought you were going to jail, right?
No, I gave him a statement. I mean, if I would
So
have,
that means you don't think you're going to jail?
on it.
Is what you're saying?
He's with his buddies.
I was going through an investigation. I was
Yeah,
following an
he knows
investigation.
how this works.
So
He's been investigated by
you
his
saw Officer
pals.
Duggan's body cam, correct? Officer Duggan, the first officer who testified, his body cam.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You were standing right behind Officer Duggan while all that went on, right?
Yeah, I guess, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you've just shot Mr. Arbery 3 times with a shotgun, correct?
Wow.
He's dead on the scene, correct?
Correct.
He's unarmed, correct?
He was.
All right. And your father came up to you and grabbed you by the shoulders and went, you had no choice, you had no choice, right? You saw that?
Yes.
All right. You're covered in Mr. Arbery's blood. You go down to the police station, correct?
Correct.
All right.
Oh, this is so morbid.
No.
This is so morbid. This is like worse than Jim Can't Swim. Look at this.
Okay. And at that point, you're in the safety of the police department giving your statement, correct?
Yes.
All right. You've got all the time in the world, correct?
Yes.
All right. And Detective Nohilly hasn't threatened you,
No,
hasn't forced you to make a statement,
he did not.
Hydration check,
and
chat.
didn't promise you anything, nor to get you to make the statement.
Well, look real quick.
And this is a composed man.
He did not.
Like I know this is some hick. I don't know if
But
that's
you're
a
telling this jury
slur,
that
but
you're all confused and you can't get the facts straight as you're telling the police about why it was you shot and killed a man.
I was trying with my best ability, but like I said, under the circumstances of going through a traumatic event, this is the most traumatic event that I have ever been through in my life.
I know it must have been so painful.
don't know how-
Pulling a trigger, like
I've never been through a
Where's-
situation
what's
like
the
that. So
pain?
the reaction, trying to go through and trying to be as factual and detailed as detailed as I could, and then looking through the transcript being scattered as it was, I could tell that obviously I failed attempting to try as best I could.
wow, buddy.
It just this is what you got. I tried, and this is
He
what
had no
happened.
rationalization.
So fair to say you never told Detective Nohilly nor wrote down in your written statement that you told Mr. Arbery the police were on their way.
It seems that I attempted to say it in these words here.
He didn't. He didn't.
And at that
think
point, Mr. Arbery turns around and
at any
runs
point.
back down Burford to get away from you, correct?
That's correct.
So at this point in time, he's running away from you. He has not threatened you.
No.
Hasn't pulled out a gun.
No, ma'am.
Hasn't pulled out a knife.
Yeah,
He did not.
he tried.
Still arms at his sides.
That's correct.
And he's trying to get away from you.
And I was letting him run away. Yes, ma'am.
I was letting him run away.
You were letting him run away.
That's correct.
Letting him exercise his God-given right to run away without answering
Wasn't
my
it your
questions.
intention to go around the block and cut him off and find him over on the other side?
To head him off and to see where he's located. That was my intention. Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Oh,
But you
okay.
could have stopped right there and not done anything, right?
Yes, but
Yes.
then immediately afterwards is when I saw his interaction with the black truck and realized that there is something to my suspicions here, and I would like to see where he is at when the cops come, which I assume that the police were on the way, that I would be able to tell them where he's at if they haven't located him at that point.
He was chasing them down for the
So you're telling the jury
police.
that your whole intention was just to go ahead and follow Mr. Arbery, keep an eye on him, and to just tell the cops there he is.
At that point, yes, ma'am.
I mean, literally doesn't sound like he had any rationalization
Now,
for it. Like
it's true that
reaching.
your father, while in the truck with you, going down Burford towards that end, was yelling at you, cut him off, cut him off, cut him off, right?
He was talking to me or telling me, I don't know if he was saying cut him off or not. I know that he was saying there he is, that's the guy. After that, I am not sure exactly what he said.
And at this point, you're still yelling at Mr. Arbery to stop at the end of Burford.
I was not yelling at him on Burford, no, ma'am.
And at the end of Burford, you and your dad both got out of the pickup truck, correct?
When he turned and started running down Burford, when he was away, when he was not a threat, if he wanted to be a threat and he was going past that, yeah, I got out of the truck, yes, ma'am. When he turned and running away is when I got out of the vehicle.
Wait, what?
Why in the world would Mr. Arbery be a threat to you?
Yeah.
Because of when I asked him what was going on, and recognized that it was the guy that I saw on the 11th, and Mr. Albenzi pointing, everything going down, and realized that it is him, and then how he reacted when I shined the lights on him on the 11th. He acted like he did not want to be. He was obviously caught sneaking through the front yard.
Yeah.
He was obviously where he was supposed to be, where he hasn't been several times, and then he
Sneaker.
reaches into his pants, like he has a gun, and I took that as a threatening gesture, and walked in the house. Now it's the same guy on the 23rd that I've just pulled up to that turned out my father was correct. People pointing down the road, same scene that this happened 12 days prior, that yes, there's a possibility that he may be armed with that gesture, but he didn't show me that, and he started running down the road. I was no longer under a threat if there was to be one, so I got out of the vehicle after my father got out of the vehicle to see what was going on and watch him.
Oh my God. This is at this point, this man believes he's a thief, nothing more. A regular old thief, and he already has another explanation, and it's that the subcontractors are pilfering from their boss. But does he go with that one?
So when you first pulled up to him, very first time, you confirmed it was him, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You testified under oath to this jury that I'm not going to chase or investigate someone who is armed, right?
That's correct.
And yet you want this jury to believe now that he was a threat to you, okay, and that you perceived him as a threat, yet you continued to chase him down Burford.
I didn't know if he was a threat or not. He never reached in his pockets, and I wanted to see what was happening. I figured I could talk to him at this point.
Why they let this guy take the stand? He's not doing himself any favors. Double homicide. He's killing his own credibility. I think if you are accused by, yeah, oh man, I don't know. I don't think you have a choice. I'm gonna try to figure that out, but I don't think you have a choice, Conso.
Getting up to him on the second point.
But hadn't at this point he demonstrated not once, not twice, but 3 times he did not want to talk to you.
Which when I'm at the stop, when I stopped the Burford.
Mm-hmm. Right, because you pulled up to him once, he doesn't want to talk to you. You back up, he doesn't want to talk to you. You pull down Burford, your dad's yelling, cut him off, and all of a sudden he runs back, he doesn't want to talk to you. That's 3 times he's demonstrated to you that he does not want to talk to you, correct?
Yes.
He's also demonstrated he's no threat to you. He hasn't pulled out a gun.
That's correct.
He hasn't said one word to you.
He has not.
He's not threatened you in any way, verbally or physically.
No, ma'am.
No knives.
No knives.
All right. He's not swearing at you, using profanity or anything like that, is he?
Didn't talk.
So at this point, you
That's a good question. Why are they letting him testify? Chauvin didn't testify.
get out of the truck. correct?
That's correct.
And you get out with your shotgun.
No, I got out when my father got out to get in the back, and then my shotgun slipped and was in the floorboard where my feet were all over it. Once I'm out of the vehicle, it was safe to, I'm not going to reach out. I wasn't going to grab it while Mr. Arbery was right there. There was no reason for it. He's run off. I'm on the side of the truck, so at that point, I grabbed the shotgun out of the floorboard and put it back on the seat.
Your dad gets out with his .357 Magnum, correct?
I didn't know if he had it on him or not. I knew he had it, but I didn't see it.
Oh my God.
He didn't have it in his hand.
So he didn't have it in his hand as he ran about 10 yards down the road after Mr. Arbery.
He didn't run down the road after Mr. Arbery.
Man, they are packing heat. He got a shotgun. His father's got a Magnum. Like, yo.
So at this point, you see Mr. Bryan pull out in his black GMC truck to try and run Mr. Arbery off the road.
No, ma'am. I saw, after I put the shotgun back onto the seat when it was on the floorboard, and then watching Dad, or talking to Dad, or trying to figure out what's going on, and I looked back down the road. I don't know Mr. Bryan. I didn't know where he lived. I didn't see him when I had the first encounter with Mr. Arbery. My assumption, I was assuming from what I saw, that he came from Satilla. So the vehicle was at what I thought was the very end of the road. More than likely, seeing the video the other day where the tree was closest to Burford, it was towards the end where it was almost on the road. I'm certain that's where I saw the encounter with them. And it didn't look like he was running off the road. It actually looked like Mr. Arbery, I thought the vehicle was stopped, and it looked like Arbery went to the left side and then to the right and then went back to the left. It looked like he was engaging with that vehicle.
Okay. How does a person engage
So you're
vehicle?
all the way down here. I'll do it on this one. All the
hurting
way
the vehicle?
down here.
Around there, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And there, all the way down here, by the time you look at them, is that what you're saying?
By the time I noticed it, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Oh, that's a scary route, man. Look at that route.
And you want this jury to believe that you thought Mr. Arbery was the one engaging in this black vehicle, not that the black vehicle was trying to hit him or run him off the road.
Thank you.
That is a question you want this jury to believe. I think that's an improper form of the question. I think you can ask him questions and he can answer, but to insinuate that he has some motive for the jury to believe is improper.
It's cross-examination. Go ahead.
Thank you. So you want this jury to believe that it's Mr. Arbery who's the aggressor with the black truck, not that the black truck's the one trying to run him off the road to help you.
I didn't see the truck trying to run him off the road. What I saw from down there, what I saw the vehicle looked to be at a stop, and Mr. Arbery was engaging the vehicle.
Mr. Arbery was engaging the vehicle. He done grabbed it right by its cuss.
And then Mr. Arbery was able to get away from the black vehicle.
He ran past the vehicle.
And your dad wanted to go down there to see what was happening, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
But you wanted to go around to cut him off.
No, ma'am.
No.
I wanted to
You already
get
admitted.
around and to see where he was at, not to cut him off.
Go around and
The way
see
you said
where
cut
he
him off.
at?
No, I wanted to see where he was at, to be in that same area to let the police know where he was coming.
Uh-huh. Oh my god, this is really bad. Oh yeah, drink that water. No? Oh wow.
I'm going to have you take a look at page 24.
It is. too
Middle of the
page. Yeah. I just want to get over there and see where he at as he engages with the other black truck. Just a couple of boys in their trucks
I'm
with
sorry,
their
back up
guns.
to page 23, please.
Now all I had was my lowly shotgun, my double barrel.
Take a look at page
I didn't know Paul would bring his gun too.
23. So, line 16. So he turned and went back down this road. Dad's like, hey, go down there. I said, I'm not going through that. I'm not going back to him. And this is about the time that the black truck that was at the scene, that's when he tried to stop it.
Yes.
All right. So here you're telling the police the black truck at the scene was trying to stop Mr. Arbery.
That's what I believe, yes.
Okay. And that was right here in this corner, just on Burford, probably a house past this intersection. So I turned and went this way.
Correct.
All right. And then he came around, came down Holmes Drive. He was right there. I said, good. We'll have a chance to stop him now. Correct?
Yes.
All right. And then the black truck's right there. I was over here. Hey, stop, stop. Well, he's running up the road, and I seen him coming. Do you remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So you came around Holmes, and you were a few houses down when you encountered Mr. Arbery and yelled at him once again, stop, stop. Is that right?
I think I had it wrong on here. Like I said, once I was bouncing back and forth, trying to explain everything that happened, that I misspoke on there. I don't know where I would say to stop, stop. Where was it that I said stop?
I misspoke.
Came around, came down Holmes Drive. He was right there. I said, good, we probably will have a chance to stop him now. Black truck's right there. I was over here. Hey, stop, stop. Well, he was running down the road. I seen him coming. So, yeah, that was at the end of Holmes, right on the other side of the dog leg.
All right, well, do you notice how it says, investigating O'Hilly right after that says, which way is he running? And you said he's coming up this way, and where are you at this time? I came around and turned off this road. I'm not really sure how far I was a few houses down. So you're a few houses down. He's asking you specifically, when did you say, hey, stop, stop? I was a few houses down, correct?
Yeah, on here, that's correct.
Okay. And you also got out of your truck at that time, a few houses down on Holmes Drive, correct?
On here is what I said, but I don't believe that's what happened. I don't believe.
No.
I believe I misspoke or had it wrong or had it mixed up to when I stopped at the end of Holmes.
Right. Okay. But you also wrote it down in your written statement.
Oh, you mean you misspoke twice?
Take a look at your written statement.
Oh, oops. That's an uh-oh.
That's about 2/3 of the way down.
On page
2.
I misspoke there again.
So I decided to continue down Burford towards Zellwood, then take on to Holmes to see if he would be there. Is that right? You see that line?
Yes.
Okay. And then it said, then you wrote, I made it halfway down and seen the individual turn and run back the way he came, then turn back toward me when the black GMC Chevy turned onto the road.
That's correct. That was at the end of Satilla.
Well, you said I got out of my truck and told him to stop, which he didn't. I got back into my truck and stopped just short of the stop sign on Holmes facing Satilla. So you had actually stopped, got out of your truck, told him to stop, which he didn't, then got back in your truck, then pulled down to Satilla and Holmes.
That, looking back after everything cooled off, where I stopped, and I don't recall if I got out or not. I think I had this mixed with when I finally pulled up. Both times where I said I stopped and got out, I was saying when I stopped and saw Mr. Arbery and the black truck coming at me. We were on Holmes, just short of where the shooting occurred. I probably yelled stop at him, but then once they passed me is when I pulled up a couple more feet and decided to stay where I was at. That's what I was speaking about here.
So you blocked off the other exit. Yeah, no, this is honestly, you're watching a man fall apart. It's really rare that
Isn't it true that at this
is actually interesting or engaging, but like if you take the time, and it's such a slow burn, but man, you can watch like a proper conflagration, like an actual bonfire of a human. Like it's beautiful.
point in time when you're a few houses down Holmes, you stop, you get out, you yelled at him, stop, stop. That's when your father yelled at him, stop or I'll blow your fucking head off.
I don't think so, no.
Right, well, you don't think so? I mean, you were standing right there. You heard your father say this, yes?
I don't think I heard him say that, no.
What?
But you know that's what he told the police he said.
In here in court is what I heard, yes, ma'am.
So at this point, you're coming down Holmes, and you see Mr. Arbery coming toward you.
He was in the middle of a turn. He was on the right side of the road, turning left in that apex is when I saw him there. The first time I saw him on Holmes. He was in the middle of a turn, turning back towards Satilla on Holmes.
Yeah, this written report is damning him. He is getting nailed to the wall through the written word. Like, she's nerding out and just going full pit bull.
Is that what the video picks up?
I don't think so, no, ma'am.
So you're saying that you're coming down this way, and he's running toward your truck, he's turning around, and he runs back this way. You don't see the black truck at this point?
No, ma'am.
All right. But then all of a sudden he's running back toward you, and you see the black truck behind him?
No. When I came around the dog leg, the black truck and Mr. Arbery were together. The black truck obviously just came off of Satilla and were heading towards me on Holmes, towards Elwood.
Okay.
So you're saying at this point you've made it all the way down here?
He was turning, he was on the right side of the road, turning left. When I saw him, he was in the mid of the turn, and then he turned and was out of sight around that dog leg. and I continued. And then once I got to the dogleg is when I saw him and Mr. Arbor, or the black vehicle, coming my way.
I didn't realize.
And at that point, he's pinned between the two vehicles.
I think that's his father watching his son fall. Oh no.
He was.
Man, fuck him. Fuck those people. None of it makes sense.
You get down to the end of here, having passed Mr. Arbery and the black truck.
No, I was at a stop and they passed me. I let Mr. Arbery run by and I let the vehicle pass me. I was stopped in the correct lane and saw them coming, and that was when Mr. Arbery and the black truck, or Mr. Arbery was running alongside the truck, grabbing at the mirror and the door, and then that's when they split. When they were coming into my lane, that's when they split. Mr. Arbery went on the passenger side, and the black vehicle turned, went back into his lane, and then was following Mr. Arbery as they went around that dogleg.
In order for you to get from here to here with them behind you, you had to have passed Mr. Arbery and the black pickup truck, correct?
That's when they passed. That's when they passed me. It was back there.
Right.
Was towards Stilla.
He was at a standstill.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, like, wait, what? Why would you move from that point? You're like, okay, my dad's chasing him. That's probably enough people. Like, I don't think they were.
We'll take a morning recess. We'll take a 15-minute recess and then continue with the evidence in the case. Thank you.
Yeah, but we're not taking a 15-minute recess because this is pure crack. Those 15 minutes, man, just like hyperventilating, like, oh God.
When he turned and ran back, I went to follow him and decided that that's the last thing I needed to do, and I came back. And he truck. I did not say that. No, I just say that he's running back to that truck. I did not say that that he was attacking that vehicle in this thing.
All right, so let's go ahead and go to when you're parked at Homes in Satilla.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so at that point, during what we see here with Mr. Bryan going up and turning around, Mr. Arbery had actually run to your white truck.
Yes, he has ran to my white truck once already at this point.
All right, and you ran forward toward him, correct?
When he turned and ran back, I went to follow him and decided that that's the last thing I needed to do, and I came back. And he ran around the corner and I lost sight of him. Yes, ma'am.
At that point that he ran to your truck and then ran away from your truck, had his hands out at his side?
He did. Well, yeah, running.
He was running?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Didn't run to your truck and pull out a weapon?
He ran to the truck, but was directing to the truck, but didn't pull out anything. No, ma'am.
Okay. And so he runs up. How close did he get to the truck the very first time?
Probably from me to you at the furthest, I would say. It was close. Yes, ma'am.
And you got out of your truck?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You got out with the shotgun that time?
I did not.
So you got out of your truck and you yelled at him, stop.
As he was getting closer to me, yes, I was yelling at him at that point to stop. Yes, ma'am.
He turned around to run back?
He did.
Didn't threaten you in any way?
No.
Didn't verbally threaten you?
Not
like
verbally.
Yell at you?
Not verbally, no.
Didn't swear at you?
Didn't swear.
Didn't say anything?
Did not.
Wow.
Didn't pull out a gun?
He did not pull it out.
Completely harmless.
Turned around and ran away?
Once he got from me to you, directed to me, once I reached into my truck is when he turned and ran away. Yes, ma'am.
We did not like that.
So at that point, you're reaching into your truck, and he sees you do this?
Yes.
He turns and runs away?
He did. Yes, ma'am.
So now, we see him running back, and you said he ran up around the dogleg, right?
He did. Correct.
At that point, we see him running back down the dogleg. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So he got back to that blue mailbox and then had to turn around and headed back towards you.
I believe he was past the blue mailbox.
So he got past the blue mailbox.
Yeah, he was completely out of sight.
All right. But now, in the video, we can see that he's turned around and is heading back toward you.
That's correct.
And at this point, he's pinned between the two pickup trucks.
He is between two pickup trucks. Yes, ma'am.
Pinned between. Okay, this verbal sparring. Oh, okay, here we go.
All right, so we're going to freeze frame it right here. You've raised your...
Yeah, I actually can't put this on. You monster. Okay.
Your shotgun at him at this point.
At that point, I did. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And he's 30 to 40 yards away from you.
That's what I was put on the. That's what I said in the statement and wrote, I believe. Thinking back on it now, I think it was 30 to 40 feet. It was closer to 30, 40 yards. It was 30, 40 yards, 120 feet. He was not that far away from me.
All right. And at this point, right here, hasn't said anything to you.
He has not said anything yet. No, ma'am.
Hasn't verbally threatened you.
Verbally, no.
No.
Still running with his hands at his sides.
Directly towards me, yes, ma'am.
Hasn't pulled out a gun.
Hasn't seen a weapon yet, no, ma'am.
And hasn't shown you a weapon this entire time.
He has not.
Hasn't said a word the entire time.
Not one time.
All he's done is run away from you.
Run past me, yes, ma'am.
Past me.
And you pulled out a shotgun and pointed it at him.
Running directly towards me, and this is now the second time on the road coming directly, and then watching how he interacted with the pickup truck in that general location when I pulled up first time, attacking the truck, and then seeing him interact with the vehicle on Burford, saying that the police are coming, him turning and running, on top of seeing Mr. Albenzi pointing, and the whole February 11th episode.
Wow.
I was under the impression, and I was, at this point, this guy can be a threat, and he is coming directly to me. Yes, I pointed the shotgun at him to deter him from coming directly to me, which was effective at that point there.
You're under the impression.
Sorry. Whoa.
Is that right? You're under the impression, because of all those things that you just mentioned, that he could be a threat to you.
Yes.
He stole something once, so he could be dangerous?
Now, let's take a look at State's Exhibit.
Yeah, I mean, thieves are
129.
basically worse than murderers, apparently. You can just... Murderers, they gotta go to prison. Thieves... Ah! Sorry, I'm just gonna be... Let's see here. Yeah, we'll just go there for a second. Okay, so far so good. Oh, wow, boy.
All right. Your father is in the pickup truck, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And he has his .357 Magnum, correct?
He has it, yes.
All right. And this is when you finally have given him the phone and said, call 911.
Seconds before this is when
Nothing.
I gave him, when I dialed 911.
I just I checked it first, and then we watched it together.
After I realized that I was misunderstood, that he has not called 911 or had not called 911, and realized the error and called, and then gave my dad the phone once I saw Mr. Arbery coming back at me this third time.
Oh, your audio only. We saw a very brief video of a black man running towards a white vehicle with one man, I think, in the like the tow truck, the tow area, and one person standing in the doorway, which I guess is the father here.
Gave it to him, once he was coming around that dogleg. Yes, ma'am.
And your father had 30 years of law enforcement, is that correct?
I believe so.
All right. So, and he knows how to take care of himself, doesn't he?
He knows how.
Oh, I know. And he's got a handgun with him, right?
Yes.
And he's on higher ground, isn't he?
He's on higher
yes.
ground.
Yeah, I would say higher ground. I'd say vulnerable.
And you never once, anywhere in your police statement, said you were ever worried about your father or him being attacked at all. Never said that once in any of your statements.
In the statements, I guess not. I don't know.
Oh my God! Wouldn't that have been first thing? Like, I was so worried of. Oh my God!
So at this point, you and your dad are both yelling at Mr. Arbery to stop.
I am yelling. I'm sure my dad is, but I was not paying attention to what my father was saying. All
right. So at this point in time, you are right next to your pickup truck in the doorway, right?
I'm right in the crux of it. Yes, ma'am.
All right. And
Yeah, big.
Mr. Arbery is moving this way, and then he's moving that way, correct?
Yes, correct.
And you have now moved yourself out of that crux of the doorway into the roadway. Is that right?
Yes, because when I drew down on him, and then because he was coming directly toward me, focused in on me, and I drew down on him, he immediately broke his
Sorry, Chad. I slowed it down to normal rate, just because we're getting to the real meat of it. So he might have a real southern draw now.
Direction and went to the right. When he went to the right, I came to the left to gain distance. I was thinking that what I would do or anybody else would go across the yard, would run across the yard. Well, as I was going across, I saw that he turned and started directing towards me on the road again, and then turned a third time and then went back to the side of the vehicle. So I was trying to gain distance.
Gain distance. So you're expecting that he should take action to get away from you because you're pointing a shotgun at him.
I was not wanting him to come to charge me, to attack me, which I was assuming was happening. Yes, that's exactly what I was doing.
Wait, what?
So him running down this road, being pursued by Mr. Bryan's truck, is him attacking you.
The last time that I saw Mr. Bryan's truck was when I was at a stop just before where I'm at now, and he was was all over that truck. And they left, and I never saw that truck turn around, and then Mr. Arbery is coming back to me, yelling at him, stop, directing to me. He wasn't going to the left, he wasn't going to the right. He was coming straight to me that first time. I was thinking, all right, he's going to try to get in this truck, or he's going to try to attack me or my dad, or who knows what. He was acting weird. He was acting funny when I was trying to talk to him prior. So I'm on alert. He turns, runs off, comes back. I'm sure I saw Mr. Bryan's truck in this instance, but I was focused on what I perceived as a threat. So I only remember the question now.
Well, I think the question is, you didn't know what he was doing except continuing to run away from Mr. Bryan's truck.
No, he was coming towards me.
All right, but you just said, who knows what? You didn't know what this guy was going to do, right?
I did not.
And all he had done so far is run away from you, right?
He has ran past me and ran away, and I let him run away, yes. Yes.
But at this time, you're not letting him run away. You're pointing a shotgun at him, correct?
I am not letting him run to me, directly to me.
Wait, what?
And he doesn't.
Oh, careful. Sorry, I'm just gonna scrub this real quick.
He runs around there, right?
Okay, so it just shows Ahmaud running around the corner. Running around the corner of the white truck. We got a close angle. He's up near a stop sign.
He did.
And comes around that corner, and you have closed the distance yourself on him, haven't you?
I have gone to the front of my truck. I did not go to the passenger side of my truck at that time. I was trying to keep an eye on him to make sure that he didn't try to get in my truck or try to get to my dad.
Yes, I pulled up on you, and now you're acting very sus. Very, very sus. How dare you run away from all of us chasing you?
Or who knows, go into the passenger side or what. I was trying to keep an eye on him, and I would think that he's avoided me once I aimed the shotgun at him. If he sees me at the front of the truck, then he will not come back around, which I was thinking was more than likely was going to happen, and then he would continue to go.
So at this point in time, you could have stepped closer to your pickup truck and kept that pickup truck between you and him, correct?
Can you say that again?
Sure thing. You have moved out in the road. You've aimed this shotgun at Mr. Arbery.
I did.
Mr. Arbery goes to the passenger side of the truck.
Yes.
Okay. Your dad is still yelling at him because we can hear him go, "Stop, goddammit, stop!" Right?
Yes.
you could have easily just stepped back to your pickup truck and watched him keep going, right?
I could have, yes, but I still didn't know what he could have done right there where I couldn't see him. And to get closer to the pickup, to get closer to Dad, to get to the truck, if he's going to try to come to the truck, I will be right there. So I was thinking that he was a threat, that he might go after myself, my father, or the truck. I wanted to be right there to deter him or to be able to handle it if I needed to.
So you also could have stepped around the back of the truck and followed him in the path that way. Is that right?
Yes, but then he would have an open, unrestricted run around the truck and into my open door into my pickup truck and could have took the truck.
So you're telling this jury that a man who has spent 5 minutes running away from you, you're now thinking is somehow going to want to continue to engage with you, someone with a shotgun, and your father, a man who's just said, stop or I'll blow your fucking head off, by trying to get in their truck?
That's what it shows, yes ma'am.
It took me a while to get the meme up. I'm sorry. If I was more timely, it would have been funnier. But
He comes around the front of the truck, and you are right there with that shotgun, correct?
I was coming around, and then as soon as I was at the front corner panel, he turned, and yes, we were on each other.
we were on each other. He was coming right at me, running right at me, even though I had a gun out.
That's your head right here.
That is my head.
Shit. Okay.
All right. You heard the medical examiner testify that Mr. Arbery's hand was between him and the shotgun, and he was shot here into his torso, correct?
That's the theory, yes ma'am.
That was the medical examiner giving his opinion, correct?
His opinion, I'm sorry, correct.
Okay. And you saw the digital evidence that backed that up with the arterial spurt from his arm before the first two shots, correct?
Yes.
Right. You testified yesterday that Mr. Arbery grabbed your shotgun.
That's correct.
All right. Do you remember Detective Nohilly specifically asking you if he grabbed your shotgun?
I do.
All right. And you then said, you want to take a look at it?
Page 30.
Oh, this is getting so
Page
sussy.
31.
I'm just going to find it for you.
It's very sussy.
Page 44.
44.
So do you remember describing the first interaction that you had with him? When he came around the corner?
Reading it, yes ma'am.
All right. So you told Detective Nohilly that he came up, meaning Mr. Arbery, and that I think that's when he hit me or started striking. He was on me. He had my shirt, or something to that point. I had the gun. I was too close to draw down on him. I did like that, and he's still fighting, and I was just like... And at that time, you're showing Detective Nohilly that you had the gun like this, correct?
Yes.
And Detective Nohilly specifically asked you, do you remember if he grabbed the shotgun at all? And your response was, I want to say he did, but honestly, I cannot remember.
Wow.
I mean, me and him were face to face the entire time. Do you remember saying that?
Yes, and I was trying to think of that exact moment. Trying to give him, trying to give him as much detail as possible under the stress and of all this going on. It was obvious that he had the gun from what I was saying in here, reread it, that he had the weapon the way that I was describing it. But why I said he did not have the gun at that second, I don't know why. But yeah, I mean, that's what I said. I want to say he did, but I honestly cannot remember.
Wow.
So you didn't shoot him because he grabbed the barrel of your shotgun. You shot him because he came around that corner, and you were right there, and you just pulled that trigger immediately.
No, I was struck, and We were face to face and being struck, and that's when I shot.
He struck you? Filthy little liar, dude. Yeah.
So he came up, I think it was when we were hit. He started striking. He was on me. He had a shirt or, something to that point, and I had the gun. And I was too close to draw on him.
Yeah. This is the, you're a liar, dude. You're a filthy little liar. You're like, Jesus.
So you're
no.
saying
okay, it's just a running person.
that
Oh, you know what? What am what am I talking about? Anything I see of Ahmaud Arbery is safe to show on Twitch. I think it's kind of the takeaway.
all of that took place. He's got your shirt. He's striking you. You've got the gun up in this thing, and you can't draw down on him. And it's a struggle, and he's on you, and you're going back and forth in front of the truck. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. Real quick. I'm getting faster. I'm getting better. Oh, I'm glad I did that. Yeah. We're just watching Battlefield and video games. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay.
Is that what happened?
Whoo. So I can't show it. I remember me describing. Okay, we're okay here. Yeah. I'll put the link in the. We're at time to. Shit. I'll put it with the timestamp. So that's the moment. Just scroll back like 10, 15 seconds if you want to check it out yourself. Not safe for life.
That's on the video, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And he was shot right here in the torso.
And I'll just describe it for those who can't watch it. We see that truck and Ahmaud's running, and he goes past, and it looks like he's tumbling, and you hear the sound of a gunshot, and it's this boy.
And it all came up, well, pellets right back here.
It's pretty damning.
Okay. So your gun was parallel to the ground.
Khabib is jihad. Oh, okay. All right. Funny.
Yes?
Funny, Mr.
Yeah, if you grab a shotgun and snatch it away, it will straighten a shotgun out. Yes, ma'am.
All right, so which one was it? Was it like this, or was it like this?
It was obviously like that in the video. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It happened so fast, and trying to recall and everything, I've obviously missed every minute detail.
I just missed a few steps here. Just skipped over a little bit. Yeah, that was a good catch. That was a little close.
All right, so let's talk about some of the things that you chose not to do with this matter, okay?
Yes, all the alternatives.
You could have made sure that you and your dad called the police from your house at 230 Satilla Drive before you ever got in that pickup truck, correct?
I could have, but I was under the impression that he has called the police when we left there.
Just under that impression.
And
because he's a police officer.
you could have just continued to drive behind Mr. Arbery and not even speak to him or confront him at all. Isn't that true?
I could have, yes.
Yeah, you could have just tailed him. You could have tailed him. Isn't that something police do?
And you could have just let him run away when he took off in front of Mr. Bryan's house. From the Night Owl video we saw, you could have just gone, okay, he's running. We'll just, let him go, or just drive behind him really slowly, right?
Could have and did after I realized that he was not going to talk to me and turn around and ran away.
Mm-hmm. And you could have stayed in your truck over on Holmes Drive, right?
Could have, yes.
And you could have stayed in your truck until he ran by and then driven away to go ahead and follow him, right?
I could have, yes.
Not once. During your statement to the police, did you say that you and your father were trying to arrest Mr. Arbery, did you?
In the statement?
Yeah, to the police.
No, ma'am.
All right. You never told the police that you said to Mr. Arbery, you're under arrest, correct?
I did not.
Okay. In fact, you never did tell Mr. Arbery, you're under arrest for the crime of fill in the blank.
I didn't have time. I was still trying to get him to stop.
Wow. Another just... Why are you admitting to this stuff?
Let's talk a bit about your attitudes towards sort of vigilantism, okay? You've posted several times on Facebook some things, and we talked about one of them in response to Kim Ballesteros, where it's like, you're playing with fire on this side of the neighborhood. Do you remember posting that?
Yes.
All right. And in response to another post about crime on the website, you responded, arm up, correct?
Was that the Ballesteros one?
July 1st, 2019, a post by Lindy Kofer. Your first response was arm up. Do you remember that? Would you like to see it?
Yes, please. I would.
Oh, I think your attorneys want to see it first.
Probably so.
I'll show it.
Yeah, there we go. That's better. I'm getting better, Chad. Faster, stronger, more collected. Blocking all these DMCAs, these TOSs, I should say. I think TOS banned my first politics stream. Yeah, that sounds right. But this has been very strange, honestly. Like, he's trying to keep collected, but his frame was shattered so long ago. He's just kind of like going through the motions, and she's just kind of like hitting at this like marionette, and he has nothing. He's got no rationalizations. Everything he says is just like an alternate version, but it doesn't change anything. Like, he might have a different way to describe how things happen, but it doesn't change the facts.
Recollection that you said to arm up?
Yes, ma'am, it does.
Sorry, I got a little stuck.
In addition, back in January of 2019, do you recall having a Facebook conversation with a Lacey Allison Cox?
I do.
All right. And at that point, do you remember telling her about how she felt that you need to make examples out of somebody if they steal stuff, and you said, that's right, hope y'all catch the vermin.
That's correct.
All right. In addition, she was kind of worried about her father, because she said, we have had a lot of trouble with...
Object to hearsay, Your Honor.
Hearsay?
I guess this is a post connected with the witness. It's not in court.
I'll ask a better question.
Wow.
Do you remember
I'm not sure
sorry.
what the context was, so to the extent it may have been hearsay, it's sustained.
Okay.
Okay, I will rephrase. Do you remember telling her that
Yeah, that was a damning
that
quote.
your old man is the same as her old man, which is slap crazy, old as dirt, and doesn't care about going to jail? Do you remember that?
I don't think I wrote that.
Okay.
Okay. I have your words here. The way she said that is like someone... Oh, she's taking it to the defense to be like, do you guys not recognize this? We sent it to you. Did you not do your homework? Didn't you read Exhibit 307A? Oh, God. Yeah, all lawyers are debate bros. And she is, I'm happy for it. I'm happy that she is a debate bro right now, because she is pinning him to the wall. There's no way he escapes this. Come on. It's just so incredibly extreme to be pulling out a shotgun. Just because somebody's running. It's like really weird. It's like a super weird thing to do. Okay, what's going on here?
Take a look at that, see if that refreshes your recollection.
Talk in a second.
Mm-hmm.
He's reading. He's reading. He's interpreting. He's remembering.
Does that refresh your recollection about what you agreed with Ms. Cox about?
Yes, I agreed to respond to it. Yes, ma'am.
All right. She said, we've had a lot of trouble with thieves. It just worries me because my daddy is slap old crazy, LOL. He's old as dirt, doesn't care about jail. And you responded, that's what this world needs more of. My old man is the same way.
I did say that. Yes, ma'am.
And then the next line is, you said, hell, I'm getting that way.
I did say that.
She said, have to make an example out of somebody. You said, that's right. Hope y'all catch the vermin, correct?
I did.
Wow, that is just
So your attorney has repeatedly stated a recurring theme here for you, that when seconds count, the police are minutes away. Have you heard him say that numerous times?
I've heard him say it, yes.
Okay.
Wow.
Is that your statement?
It's not.
Then why is your attorney saying that?
I guess that's what he believes.
Okay. That's not what you believe.
I can agree with that, but I don't think I've said that.
Oh, wow. I agree with it, but I haven't said it? Yeah, I think this is really the meat, like one of the
I'll go ahead and pass the defendant back.
main parts.
Here, briefly.
All right, defense is gonna have a crack at it.
You've been cross-examined a bit about why you were making certain decisions to approach or not Mr. Arbery.
Yes, sir.
Or what you thought about when he was approaching you.
That's correct.
And you've been shown your transcript, the statement that you had with Officer Nohilly. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Take a look at page 7, line 1.
Okay, fast forward.
To Officer Nohilly there.
Objection. Inappropriate question. This is not a prior consistent or prior inconsistent statement at this time.
It's a rehabilitation of the witness after he's been cross-examined about his intent and why he made the decisions this day. This is a prior statement by him that is consistent with his testimony and to rehabilitate him after cross-examination. He's been questioned extensively, Your Honor, about what he said.
You're rehabilitating him on
Yes,
what
sir.
you're claiming to be that statement.
What do you say, page 7, line 1?
1 to just line 1, or
Well, so we can make sure I limit.
for the full statement before the officer.
Now, I know that you're in complete
The
shambles.
first full sentence there.
Okay. See.
You're going to
This
read it
is-
out loud, or if he remembers the statement?
Yeah.
How are we doing this?
Just read it. What he said to the officer.
Well, objection at that point.
Okay.
Improper.
Do you recall what you said to the officer?
I do.
Don't read it. What did you say to the officer?
I told, it was, to close it down, that,
Let me do this. What date were you speaking about when you were talking to the officer?
I was speaking of February 11th when I saw him, the first time that I encountered him.
Okay. And did you tell the officer, or give the officer an impression of what you thought about Mr. Arbery at that time?
Yes, I said that when I stepped out that he was not there, he wasn't clearly there, and he reached into his pocket.
What did you mean by clearly not that Mr. Arbery, clearly was not there?
The way that he was interacting with me, the way that he was reacting to just being caught creeping or lurking in the shadows, to reach into a pocket and then just stay, I would say, bold, or having a brazen moment where you do that and then just go into the house, continue to do what you were doing. Wow. It was not, it was off. It just wasn't.
Did you share this with Officer Nohilly a couple hours after
I
this
did.
incident?
I did, yes, sir.
All right. If you'll go to page 9, line 3. Before you do that, at any point in time, did you try to describe Mr. Arbery's behavior as you were interpreting it on Burford Road? To Officer Nohilly?
I did, yes.
Okay. And do you recall how you described his behavior?
Yes.
Okay. How did you describe it?
This is the defense attorney after the witness has been destroyed by the prosecution in absolute shambles. The defense attorney is like, I can fix him. I can fix him, Judge. Just let me fix him a little bit. I'm going to rehabilitate him.
Acting funny, clearly not there.
Okay, let me stop you. What do you mean by acting? What did you mean by acting funny?
The way that his facial expressions when I first pulled up, the anger, and then not speaking.
He wasn't talking.
Not talking at all. It wasn't like ignoring me or trying to ignore me. It was just he
could have been a
the way that he was expressing himself. He just wasn't talking. He was in an anger state, and
what was your interpretation of that?
That he could be relevance.
Goes to his conduct.
Speculation and not relevant as to his interpretation.
Yeah.
I think it is relevant. It's not speculating, it's just his interpretation.
It's just
sustained.
Did you speak to...
Slap down.
Did you ever indicate to Officer Nohilly that you felt something was just not right with Mr. Arbery?
I did.
Okay.
Rather than left. Because first he went left, and then he went right, so you had to go forward, and then you had to go back to make sure you're keeping up with the chase.
Do you recall ever indicating to Officer Nohilly that you were just wanting to watch him and hope that he would continue to run past you?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
You were...
Okay. What's going on? Okay. Wait, what? What just happened? Maybe the feed cut out and then they went to recess. Because he said he was just going to do a short cross-examination. And I guess that witness is done. So we're going to go here.
Yeah,
This is people coming in. Still got a little bit to go. Some around here.
Agree with that.
Okay.
This, because I think that's the appropriate way to approach this.
Okay, here we go.
Agree with that, except let's see if we can all agree on the definition of hearsay. Hearsay is not a Facebook post if it's not being offered for the truth of the matter asserted, but instead to inform an individual who has read it or posted it and who will do, just as you said, Ms. Donikoski, will testify about how that affected one's perception of their neighborhood and may have caused them to take certain additional safety measures or constrain their own liberty as a result of what they've read.
Constrain liberty because of a
Yeah,
Facebook post?
Your facial expression makes me think that we're not on the same page about
I'm trying to figure out how to explain where I am on it. The objection that was made during the last witness, the court sustained the objection and actually explained the ruling. She was asked generally about, I didn't write it down, but generally about Facebook posts and what her thoughts were. But my ruling, I indicated that I think it was a relevance objection, was not relevant to the defendants and what they may have known, and none of that got linked up. So for that particular objection, if I remember correctly, that was the basis for it. The challenge with the Facebook posts is it's social media.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly what the basis of it is. There are some issues that are out there, so the court has some concerns about a bunch of Facebook posts being the basis for anything.
Yeah,
But more importantly, what we're here about is what the defendants think was going on, as opposed to with the last particular witness, what a resident of 30 years may have seen and how she reacted to it. The court has some concerns about the relevance of that evidence, and I'll rule on it accordingly. But just putting up individuals that live in the neighborhood to say, I looked at Facebook and this is the way I felt.
Oh,
I
boy.
think there's the basis for some objection there. I'll go ahead and take that as they come. But if it can be linked up with what's actually before the court, so be it. But just bringing witnesses in to say they looked at Facebook and unrelated to, in fact, she testified, I think she didn't know the defendants. Yeah.
Wow. That's ridiculous.
And I'll just say this last piece, Your Honor, to fill in that one gap. We will link this up. And I think it's important for the court to be reminded that during the cross-examination of Travis McMichael and other direct examinations of GCPD and GBI agents, the argument has repeatedly been made by the state that the defendants are exaggerating the feelings of that neighborhood and what was really going on in that neighborhood. So I think the only way to respond to that, if I'm acting on behalf of myself and my neighbor, then it's fair enough for me to say, well, let me tell you what my neighbor was worried about. Here's what she told me. Here's what she experienced. And that may help the jury think more clearly about the way that the state is characterizing a peaceful, calm, placid Satilla Shores in February of 2020.
It was placid and calm until you
add,
defended.
I think Ms. Hogue addressed it, but several witnesses have testified that there were maybe 2 burglary 911 calls or 2 entering auto 911 calls, 1 burglary call for this long period of time. That testimony was elicited by the state. The only way to respond to that, there was more crime in the neighborhood, is from people who experienced it and read about it and were concerned about it. And that's the relevance of the Facebook page, because Travis McMichael testified on direct.
Well, let me just, I guess I was going to say I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm going to do it anyway. Yeah, I mean, if you got a witness that stands up and testifies that they were the victim of a crime in Satilla Shores, sure.
That makes sense.
But if you got a witness that gets up and says, oh yeah, I live in Satilla Shores and I looked at a Facebook page and I used that to inform myself about crime in the neighborhood, but I've never spoken to the defendants, which is exactly what we had with the last witness.
Which is crazy.
That's an objection that's going to be sustained. Those are 2 very different things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Capiche? Yeah. Judges just laying down the law. Guys, well, it's pretty simple.
We believe, because of Travis McMichael's use of the neighborhood Facebook page, as a source of information that raised concerns that he testified about.
Well, and he testified, and on direct could have walked all the way through that. So and I believe he testified to what he was informed of in the neighborhood, and Facebook was referenced during his direct examination.
Correct. And this corroborates that there were, in fact, Facebook posts about crime in the neighborhood.
But when
from the
I'm not going to debate it further. The question that went beyond that into what the Facebook posts were, and so again, the objection was sustained with the last witness. I've explained where the court generally is on this, and we'll proceed from there. All right, we're going to bring the panel in. I'm going to provide the instruction to the panel, and
Okay, I think we saw the meat of it. I think that was kind of like the real juicy piece of the pie. Was watching that witness just get destroyed. Absolute shambles. The other thing I wanted to check out was the Kyle Rittenhouse closing arguments for the defense. I saw the prosecution, which was pretty damning. I don't know. I was pretty mixed about it, but the prosecution kind of brought it home for me at the end. I don't know. But that's just me. Oh, this boy. I don't like him. I do not like what's happened in this trial. Okay. All right.
Investigating against Rittenhouse, and the appearances are as before, outside the presence of the jury. And
is that what's going on here? Yeah, it is at 1.5.
I have sent
this meeting is dead now.
proposal or draft number 3 of the instructions to the attorneys this morning, and we'll make a record now on. Oh, would you put this on my printer, please?
Hey, Judge, this was.
I think they muted us. Did they mute us? Okay, maybe we will pick this up a little bit. Okay. Do it for the memes. No. I'm not going 0.25. This is already quite a lot of court news. Oh God. Some of it is a slog. I will pee at some point.
All right. Has everybody received a copy of draft number 3 of the proposed instructions?
Okay. All right.
Instruction be read. Asking for that.
We don't care about any of this. We actually only care about what this angry man is going to say. Is this not closing arguments? Oh, right. I think with closing arguments, yeah, there's like 2 separate.
Please the court, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, good afternoon. Showing you a snippet of State's Exhibit 18, which Mr. Binger just spent 3 or 4 minutes showing that Mr. Rosenbaum wasn't around. And my client couldn't know that he wraps his head in orange. Chain, bag, orange. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had this video almost as long as they've had this video. But Mr. Binger will use this video to lie to your faces and tell you that Kyle Rittenhouse was taking advantage of the situation.
I object, Your Honor.
Wow.
It's in the picture.
It's argument.
Ladies and gentlemen, this case is not a game. It is my client's
thanks
life.
for the shout out, Chupacabra.
We don't play fast and loose with the facts, pretending that Mr. Rosenbaum was Citizen A #1 guy. He was a bad man. He was there. He was causing trouble. He was a rioter. And my client had to deal with him that night alone.
God damn it, I hate this guy.
When I say that the truth matters and this is not a game, what do I mean by that?
I don't know. Probably that the truth matters.
Mr. Binger is the one who put on the Kandiri brothers. The reason he put them on, in spite of what he might say today, is because he wanted you, now 18, soon to be 12 people, to say, gosh, that kid just went to that place and just protected it. He wasn't asked. He was asked.
How?
Mr. Kandiri's asked Nick. Nick got a group of people to go down there. The people from West Bend came.
It's a TV show.
Provocation. Another thing. Think back on November 2nd when this case started. Did you hear one word out of Mr. Binger's mouth about provocation? You didn't, because it was never said.
Okay, this is actually, I've been thinking about this for days because he set up this argument where he argued that Kyle was being provocative and that the crowd responded to it and that there was sort of like a crowd logic to trying to stop someone who everyone was sort of already unnervous about. You know, it was a big gun sort of like popping around. And once Rosenbaum got shot, like that's when everybody started following him and engaged later on. So like his argument, like out of nowhere, he springs up this like provocation thing. I guess it didn't come up in evidence. I've been like watching closely. And it's a very good argument. Like it's a very important thing. Like you don't have the right to self-defense if you've been provoking people, if you've been like purposely agitating people with violence or the threat of it, and like carrying around an assault rifle. Many might interpret, I don't know, it's crazy to me here in Canada, but a lot of people interpret that as a very threatening thing. It's a very scary thing, unless maybe like they're dressed in a uniform I recognize, like a military uniform. So I think right now he's in shambles. Like he's honestly didn't see it coming and is now just going to be like, well, he can't do that. He can't just like spring that shit on him, but I'm pretty sure he can. I'm pretty sure you can hide some cards before you play them.
But when his case explodes in his face, now he comes out with provocation. That was opening. And most importantly, in opening, quoting from Mr. Binger's first paragraph of his opening statement on November 2nd, 2021. This occurred after the defendant chased down Mr. Rosenbaum and confronted him while yielding an AR-14. Ladies and gentlemen, you've seen the videos. Mr. Rosenbaum sees, and I'll show you the video in my closing argument. You'll see Mr. Rosenbaum take off when he sees my client coming along with the Zeminskis to set up the ambush of my client. Provocation? I don't think so. The things that I've just pointed out to you, why is that a problem? Because one, he's lying.
He's lying.
Two, he's misrepresenting. Or he wasn't prepared when he started this trial, and his closing argument has been a change to try and fit what has come out. Okay. Remember how when he was talking, there's no proof that the Rosenbaum and Zeminski knew each other? Maybe they didn't know each other that night, but they were together throughout the night. You see them together in pictures wreaking havoc in this city.
So?
And now we have the magic pixel camera that brings forth his provocation. I'm going to go through the charges, and we'll talk about each one of them. Then I'll go through the witnesses, and hopefully I'll bring it home in an honest and forthright fashion.
Let's hope. You talk so slowly, though, my dude.
Count one, reckless homicide. My client shot Joseph Rosenbaum. Ladies and gentlemen, make no mistake, there was nothing reckless about my client's conduct that day in regards to Mr. Rosenbaum. Mr. Rosenbaum was coming at him. My client ran from him, retreated, which is not needed, continues to run. The plastic bag is thrown, the metallic plastic bag. Kyle doesn't know what it is at that time. It causes him to turn and look over his shoulder, pointing the gun in that direction. Mr. Rosenbaum, is he dissuaded by that? No, he is not. He continues running and advancing on my client. That whole time, the state doesn't say anything about Mr. Zeminski firing the shot, Mr. Zeminski having his gun up. Think of the circumstances as they existed at 11:50 on August 25th of 2020. He runs through that parking lot. He continues running on. He turns as he comes into that box canyon with the cars, the van, and I believe it's a Pepsi machine, and he turns because he has no place else to go. I'll show you the Zanine video later on. What's important about the Zanine video, you see that mob of people destroying the cars at Car Source 3, which Mr. Binger doesn't want my client to go and try to protect, even though he was asked by those individuals to protect that property. Nick Smith called him, hey, they're bashing up the cars and starting fires. Go down there. He goes down there. He has
Earlier in his argument, he said that the owners cared so little about the property, they had evacuated all the cars, and then it was an empty parking lot. And I don't hear him really refuting that. He's secretly sponsored by Pepsi.
As much right to go there as anybody else in the city of Kenosha and be unmolested by the likes of Joseph Rosenbaum, Kelly, and Joshua Zeminski. And Mr. Binger says, oh, we'll get the Zeminskis later. Well, ladies and gentlemen, last time I checked, this is still the United States of America, and he has the burden of proof. If he wants you guys to believe that my client pointed a gun at him, call the Zeminskis. Put him on the witness stand,
table.
Ask him questions, and let me or Mr. Sharafasi cross-examine him.
He's just hitting the table.
That's how we do things in a court of law, but not in Mr. Binger's court. He says, I'm blaming the victim. As a defense lawyer, I might get accused of that more than some other people. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rosenbaum was shot because he was chasing my client and going to kill him, take his gun, and carry out the threats he made.
How do you know
and
that?
Mr. Binger wants to make a big hullabaloo about the shot in the back. Remember his opening statement? He shot him in the back. And that's why I'm sitting here in front of the jury like this. Did he shoot him here? Did he shoot him there? Because of the way the bullet went in and where the bullet ended up in the hip, you know full well that the individual, and I asked the doctor, is on a horizontal plane. What is that horizontal plane consistent of? Somebody leaping, lunging at my client. And we know how close Mr. Rosenbaum was to my client. The furthest he could have been when it started, the first shot, 4 feet with the stipler. We know that his hand was on the gun. Mr. Binger wants you to believe that that was just happenstance and accident. Come on, people. Physical evidence does not lie. Use your common sense and good judgment.
If he's running at you and you shoot him, he's not going to stop. Right? Like, there's going to be so much forward momentum, right? When you just hit, like, there is potential you hit touch the gun. Like
Mr. Rosenbaum just somehow ending up down at the riots. Remember that?
Oh,
Mr.
yeah.
Rosenbaum, according to the testimony, walked from the bus center 4 miles out to Ms. Swartz's house.
Okay.
And then he couldn't stay there for some reason, and 4 miles all the way back. That's not just ending up. That's going someplace with a purpose, and throughout the night, you saw his purpose.
Yo, my guy, he walked 4 miles in either direction. What does that tell you? Maybe he just spends all his time walking? I mean, I'm not going to walk 4 miles, walk another 4 miles, and then join in like a rally like late at night. Like, that's a huge amount of energy. Like, come on.
And there was more than one piece of testimony about Mr. Rosenbaum.
I'm still stuck on if I've ever seen the average person actually do a lunge horizontally. Yeah, that's another good point. Like, most people grab by the collar, or lunges happen like you would like duck down like a bull and grab at the hips. But the only people who do that are like trained and shit, like MMA and stuff. Like, they actually know how to do a takedown. And nobody, like, I don't know, man. Like, that's just, yeah, lots of holes, lots of weird parts happening already.
Whether it was a hospital or whether or not it was a jail. Remember that? And there was testimony regarding his medication. Ms. Swartz said we couldn't get medication because the Walgreens were all boarded up. She said, the hospital said, they gave him his medication. So whatever facility gave him his medication.
You sweat.
Mr. Binger, the man with the burden of proof, why didn't he bring in a hospital or a jail to prove that Mr. Rosenbaum was properly medicated? He'd been off his medications, according to Ms. Swart, for 7 to 10 days. We know that he was acting like somebody who wasn't on their proper medication. He was not acting normal.
And you know what you do with them, right? What the normies get to do with the
Next.
not so normies?
Richard McGinnis. Reckless. And here, Mr. McGinnis, I'd like to talk about, because the self-defense...
Whoa, carries over? Wait. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Does not go to Mr. McGinnis, but if Kyle was privileged in exercising self-defense against Mr. Rosenbaum, it carries over to the endangering count of Mr. McGinnis. And Mr. McGinnis, specifically, if the defendant, and I'm reading directly from an instruction, page 9, second full paragraph, which you will be given, if the defendant was acting lawfully in self-defense, his conduct did not create an unreasonable risk to another. That is Mr. McGinnis. Ladies and gentlemen, when my client shot Joseph Rosenbaum, he feared for his life. He feared because of the prior threats, the prior statements, and the violent acts that had been witnessed by my client. Mr. McGinnis, as a witness, I think he helped us more than he hurt us. He talked about, and this was on cross for Mr. Binger, how do you know what Mr. Rosenbaum was thinking? He goes, I don't, but I know he yelled, fuck you, and then lunged at Kyle Rittenhouse. Why is he yelling the F-U? One of two things. One, to intimidate, or two, he got into a situation over his head, thinking, as he said before chasing him, you won't do shit, MFer, to my client. Well, he was wrong. He states Kyle did not know that he was there, meaning Richard McGinnis. He's a citizen journalist who was running along with his hand, in his phone and his hand up in the air, in to get a story. My client is not responsible for endangering him when he runs into danger. Plus, the instruction says that if he was privileged as to Rosenbaum, he's privileged as to count 2, Mr. McGinnis. Count 3.
That word privilege right now.
Jump kick man. The uncomplaining,
man.
unidentified.
Look at that shot. Like, what do you see in that picture? Like, I don't know.
Identified witness in count 3. There'll be some video later on when I'm going through some of that. You'll see, and I ask you to pay attention. The state has said he's not kicking him. He doesn't hit him. When you watch the video, and it'll be in slow motion, watch where his foot goes, watch what happens to Kyle's head. The force of him kicking him in the face spins his body 180 degrees around, and then it's on. Huber coming in from behind, hitting him in the neck with the skateboard. Ladies and gentlemen, what you see throughout event number 2, and this is the beginning of it, is individuals working in a mob. They don't know what happened at Car Source 3, event number 1. But somebody said, hey, he shot somebody. Doesn't know that he was being chased by a crazy person. But they're going to get their licks in on Kyle Rittenhouse, or, as they perceive him, somebody from the other side who has been putting out their fires, causing problems for them, stopping them from wreaking havoc in Kenosha like they did the night before.
No more havoc.
And, ladies and gentlemen, the standard is likely to cause death or great bodily harm. Great bodily harm is defined as likely to cause serious bodily injury. A kick to the head is likely to cause a serious injury. Did my client suffer a debilitating injury as a result of that? No, but that's not the standard.
Even a bloody nose. And like for a kick to really do some damage, like, I don't know, man. Like you got to be really down, like really down. Arms are nowhere to be seen. I don't know, man.
Mr. Huber, he's a rioter, pushing a dumpster lit on fire, going to the barricades to pick up pepper balls, throw them back, pointing his middle finger at the police.
Whoa.
He's assisting Rosenbaum at the gas station.
Did he point his middle finger at the police?
Hits Rittenhouse 2 times with the skateboard and attempts to disarm him. You'll see it all in the slow motion video later on.
Well, you guys will.
Kyle Rittenhouse is running away from Anthony Huber. The state wants to call my client an active shooter. And the reason they want to do that is because of the loaded connotations of that word. Everyone has heard of the theater killings, the school shootings, and things like that. Ask yourself, the definition of an active shooter is somebody with a plan to inflict multiple casualties, usually out of anger or animus towards a group. This case, what caused Kyle Rittenhouse to shoot somebody? Joseph Rosenbaum. He runs after shooting Joseph Rosenbaum for almost 2 blocks before.
I feel like that place had a lot of birds. What do you mean by that, birds?
Scene number 2. Mr. Binger makes a big thing about Kyle Rittenhouse not staying around. Car Source 3.
Oh, yeah.
After the shooting. Ladies and gentlemen, if Kyle Rittenhouse had stayed at Car Source 3, all that would have happened is it would have made the police have an easier job, because scene 1 and scene 2 would have been put in the same location. My client ran 2 blocks without shooting at anyone, pointing at anyone, doing anything to try and get away. He tells the individuals he's going to the police, and he's running in that direction when he stopped.
And everyone's supposed to just believe him. Everyone's just supposed to believe the dude with the AR who ran away from the scene.
In the head with a hand with a rock in it, knocking his hat off. Mr. Binger says, oh, he just knocked his hat off. I don't think that individual was trying to steal Mr. Rittenhouse's hat. He was trying to take his head off. Who comes in next?
Take his head off? Come on, man.
Anthony Huber for the first time. Hits him. Opening statement, Mr. Binger, was he takes a swing at him. Now it's he blocked because we took the videotape and lightened it up. Huber strikes him in the head and arm the first time. Jump kick man comes in, kicks him in the face, spins his body 180 degrees, and Anthony Huber comes in for the second lick to the shoulder neck area, trying to take his head off. And when he does that, his other hand goes grabbing for the gun, his bare hand onto the gun and pulling it away from Kyle Rittenhouse. Mr. Binger wants Kyle to sit there and hope and pray to God his strap works, and Anthony Huber can't get the gun. We don't know that. We'll never know that as he's running away from him. A shot as the gun is being separated from his body, and you'll see the butt way far away when the shot is finally fired. Even Gage Groskwitz said he was concerned about the blows that Jump Kick Man and Anthony Huber were inflicting on Kyle's head.
Yeah.
That's probably the only thing I agree with Mr. Groskwitz. Gage Groskwitz. The state must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that what Kyle did under those facts and circumstances was unreasonable, that he was not entitled to self-defense. Consider all the events that had occurred that evening. Him being attacked, kicked in the head, hit in the head with a skateboard, other individuals running up on him, and now Mr. Groskwitz runs up on him. And the first action of Mr. Groskwitz, and I'll go through the video later, is really he's running in, the hand is coming up, and the gunshot with Huber goes off. And the natural reaction is the flinch. He covers up. And then he pulls his hands up. And as he's standing with his hands up, look, he's not gripping the gun anymore in a pistol grip. Hands apart, hands up. And as he comes in to finish the job, the hand is on the gun going for Mr. Rittenhouse. And he says it's an involuntary movement.
Just for reference here, that involuntary movement, the prosecution's argument was that when that Kyle Rittenhouse shot the other guy, Gage, it blew off his bicep, and so he lost control of it, which is why his gun pointed. He was holding it at his side. He was like turning it around or something. It was like reaching to grab the gun with his other hand, and then like I guess decided nope, and got shot. Like he's like doing that thing where you try to avoid, and he got his bicep shot, and the prosecution showed it, and it was like a real shock image, because like, you know, in video games when you shoot and it does that like that round thing and it like splays in every direction, it was like that with his bicep, just like a circle where his bicep used to be, and then like crazy like flesh, just shredded flesh. It was horrifying. So like, that was his argument, was like, this dude got his arm blown off, and that's why he lost control of it. Which you're like, yeah, I kind of see that. So now watching this guy, he has to make the argument that Gage was trying to kill him with the gun rather than try to grab the gun non-lethally with his left hand, which was the prosecution's argument.
Shot comes before it gets directly to his head, but the motion is coming, the shot, and it continues on with that momentum. Enough momentum to go through the bullet and point directly at Kyle's head. Does Kyle fire again? No, he doesn't. Actions likely to...
And even if that were true, it would have to rely upon this dude being a full half beat behind Rittenhouse. Like, the way that he went through the clip, it looks like he's every moment, like he's fully alert, and is like hiding his profile and then like reels back. But for this to be true, he needed to be on the attack with his arm lowered. Like, I don't know, man. It's a bit of a
cause death or great bodily harm, and he is coming in with a loaded Glock.
But that's fair.
And
that's fair. He's got a loaded gun. That's a gun. So it's gray area. It's super gray area. Yeah.
Asked Mr. Gage Groskowitz about it. He wouldn't even admit that there was one in the chamber. That's why we had to put on the officer to talk about the unfired shell casing. Lukowski talked about clearing the weapon and a live round coming out. Because Groskowitz won't say anything that puts him in a bad light. Groskowitz, the person who has 10 million reasons to lie. And we all know he did lie, because he never gave a new interview after giving his statement saying he dropped his gun going down the street. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the charges. Those are a synopsis of the charges. As I stated, the burden is on the state, and they must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that my client did not have the right to self-defense. Kyle, as he sits here, is presumed innocent of all charges. If there is any reasonable hypothesis to reconcile with Kyle's innocence, that is what you are to choose. Remember, when looking at the burden of proof, they have it. Think about some of the things: the shoddy investigation, the rush to judgment from the Kenosha District Attorney's Office, the Zeminskis not being called as witnesses. They have the burden of proof. We don't. They want it to be that Kyle...
If you're going to have that delivery, you better know your next line. Yeah, exactly. He turns the page real slow.
...was out there doing something improper. Kyle was a 17-year-old kid out there trying to help this community. He was asked to provide help in protecting property at the car sources. It started...
Again, no one in their right mind is asking a 17-year-old to defend their car park with an assault weapon. Like, that is... Who does that? I am obviously out of my depth.
And he did it. He did provide aid, and he was asking if anybody needed aid. Whether somebody chooses to accept that aid, that's on them. But Mr. Binger wants to poo-poo his sincere belief that he's helping people because he borrowed bandages from Dominic Black, and I think he might have borrowed something from Lukowski.
He was a medic borrowing meds. You have one job. It's to bring the meds.
Also, but in the picture, when the Kandiri poses with all the people who are going to protect his property, there's Kyle's big orange gator box. He's got his pack on, filled with things, and he's willing to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle was not an active shooter. That is a buzzword that the state wants to lash onto because it excuses the actions of that mob on the 25th of 2020.
What about his actions?
Whenever Kyle was there, he reacted to people attacking him. There's numerous times, and you'll see him on the video, he does not shoot. He runs 2 blocks from 63rd to 61st Scene 2 without firing his weapon. Individual hits him in the back of the head. He does not turn around to address that threat. Huber takes a swing at him with the skateboard like that. Kyle blocks, and the skateboard's knocked out of his hand. He doesn't turn around and shoot him. He keeps running and falls from the 2 hits. He's run that far, and yet somehow he just fell over on his own. As soon as he's on the ground, they're there. Attack. Somehow he just fell over on his own.
Hold up. I was not paying
Out of his
attention last
hand.
time.
He doesn't turn around and shoot him. He keeps running and falls from the 2 hits. He's run that far, and yet somehow he just fell over on his own.
Oh, he fell from the...
As soon as he's on the ground, they're there, attacking him. And you see the people...
Oh, no. Oh, okay. This is a good little pause. Okay, what else we got here? That's a good tweet. Oh, that's another tweet. What else we got?
The law of self-defense, you've seen it, you've heard it. Now I'm going to go through the
No
witnesses.
video.
Oh. Dominic Black, first witness, charged by Mr. Binger for providing the gun to my client. 2 counts, looking at up to 6 years in prison.
Wow.
His case has been adjourned so that he can help the state. I don't think he helped the state that much. I think he was a pretty truthful witness, all in all. He told them about Kyle there to help people, that they had permission from the Kandiris, that he saw Kyle help the woman with the foot, help the person with the hand. Mr. Binger wants to just say, oh, that doesn't matter. If it wasn't Kyle, it would have been somebody else. The point is, he was there, and he did it. There was no pointing by Kyle of any laser sight. There was no ability for Kyle or him to point laser sights at anyone because their guns didn't have the type of optics that did that. He said Kyle was there to help. The only person helping was Kyle. And he can say what he wants about whether or not he let Kyle take the gun or not take the gun. He never told him not to. He went to the location with him. They bought straps at Jelensky's together. He's trying to cover his butt a little bit. The guns were there, and they took them. They took the guns, as he said, to deter people attacking them. He saw Kyle at the end, sweating, was in shock, and said that he shot someone, he had to do it. That is Dominic Black. Corey Washington saw the rioters breaking up concrete at the church parking lot, described Rosenbaum as erratic, stated the crowd was suspicious. I don't know what that means. One of the things that I thought was strange was the night before they were burning garbage trucks, but they only burnt the old ones. I think that tells you something about his point of view, that there's a certain amount of property damage that is justified and okay. Kenosha was using those garbage trucks that the rioters lit on fire. And nothing regarding property destruction was going to do anything to help Jacob Blake. We also learned that Kyle Rittenhouse smokes cigarettes and that he has an affinity for the Dinosaur Museum. Detective Howard, ladies and gentlemen, Detective Howard's testimony and Detective Antaramian's testimony is the stuff of what reasonable doubt is made of. 2 detectives, both lead officers on this case. They've sat through every minute of this trial, and their opinions of the actions of Mr. Rosenbaum from testimony, videos, couldn't be more diametrically opposed. Detective Howard, on cross-examination, knew that the guy was hiding in the car and jumped out from behind the car and began chasing Kyle Rittenhouse. Oh boy, that's not good for the state's case. So there's the old chit-chat between Mr. Howard and Mr. Antaramian and the prosecutors after, and all of a sudden we've come up with the new theory. And you heard the new theory, that he raised the gun, and that's what's on the video. Could I have the firearm, please? checked it.
Oh my god, what is happening?
He told me he checked it.
God, wait, what is... Oh god, oh, what are you doing? Oh god, did I just screw up? Oh yeah, I can't show that. Okay, I think we're gonna switch gears. I think we're gonna switch gears here. I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm just gonna get in trouble. There's a really interesting video I've been wanting to catch by Hey It's Vadim. He's got a video on Lauren Southern that I've been wanting to check out, and I've never watched any of his content, but I hear good stuff. I've seen a little bit. I also got some of my mother's dear pecan pie as a snack. Ooh, let's get that close to the camera. Pecan pie. Oh wait, let's go like this. Yeah. Ooh, pecan pie. So tasty. Okay. So we're checking out Hey It's Vadim. He's gonna do a big takedown on Lauren Southern, who is a white supremacist. Yeah, and not so yay. Not so yay.
Hey guys, it's Vadim, and if this is your first time on the channel, well, we like to have a little fun here. Like for instance, take a look at this guy. What's he doing there? Oh, he's...
Yo, I was just going to eat some food. Yo, how's it going, my dude? Yo, I got me some pie. We checked out the Ahmaud Arbery. Watched a man get taken apart. Yo, my dude, how's your stream? We're gonna watch a white supremacist get taken down because she's still around for some reason and she shouldn't be. But yeah, no, it's good shit. But yeah, we should stream sometime, man. Like a good old. I see you've been into Don't Starve. I'm terrible at it. I need someone to guide me, or lots of good shows. Yeah, dude, I don't know how you're doing 6 hours. That is incredible, yo. Like, damn, this is gonna be my supper. Like, it's not good. Yeah, no, all the power to you, man. You popping off. You're gonna hit 50 in like no time. So proud of you. It's so good. All right, so we checking out the truth about Lauren Southern and Christchurch. There's gonna be some like deep cuts and shit. Let's go.
thirsty. He's having a little drink. Oh, look, this little fella's a birthday boy. He's enjoying some cake. Wish him a happy birthday. And... Oh no. Oh, man, sorry. I totally forgot what this video was about. I guess this is in order. Content warning. Discussions of pretty much the worst things ever, as well as super gross garbage people from the rock bottom of the humanity toilet.
No.
So glasses off this time, because I think it's just that kind of video. Now, for those who don't know, this is Lauren Southern. She's a conservative YouTuber, author, and I guess former alt-right figure and provocateur. And I think that stretches back a little further than most people realize.
Oh no, what are you doing? This is TOS.
Oh boy! Of course, who could forget her brief career lip-syncing Bad Evanescence ripoff songs?
Feeling a strong 0 to a light 1.
Anyhow, just so we're all up to speed, in 2017, Lauren posted a now-deleted video with this title, discussing French author Renaud Camus' book and theory of the same name that describes the highly fictional threat to European culture, aka white people, of being demographically replaced by immigrants of African and Islamic descent, aka black and brown people, which you can see showcased right here in this totally batshit animation. Oh no, look at all those black Argentinians. It's not what they look like. They look like this. Oh, but they're coming to get us white people anyhow. Ah! Incidentally, that animation that was very much a staple of bonkers white videos at the time. Yeah, Lauren decided to use it in the thumbnail of her video. I'm about to get ethnically replaced on this iceberg over here. Now look, we won't be critiquing that baseless, brainless, and very paranoid conspiracy theory. But if you'd like to hear one, and I must emphasize, if you find any replacement claims that you'll hear in this video remotely convincing, well, then check out Sean's video on the topic. It's a banger and a classic. So approximately a year after this cursed video with the cursed thumbnails release, a 28-year-old gunman broadcasted live one of the most heinous and tragic mass shootings in world
And he cited her. He like in his manifesto, he talks about Lauren.
history, which unfolded in 2 mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand. And right before doing so, he released this manifesto, which of course bears the same name as this video. And so that brings us to part 1, reprehensible accusations that destroy political discourse. So naturally, all that sparked countless claims about Southern and her level of culpability regarding this event, which Lauren believes to be
a reprehensible accusation that has destroyed political discourse.
Not my discourse.
Wow! I didn't realize one set of claims could possess that level of destructive power. Anyhow, let's hear what Lauren has to say, and we're going to start with a claim that, if true, would definitely be her strongest argument of all. And that's in relation to the accusation that
I popularized it. I made it huge, and therefore he likely learned it from me and got radicalized by this.
To which she then says,
anyone who has taken 2 minutes to read the commission report would know this claim is impossible. I published my video in July 2017. The official report clearly shows the shooter had made up his mind to commit a terror attack in January of 2017.
Alright, so that is a full 6 months before her video debuted, and if that claim is accurate, well, then that would most certainly be a silver bullet for her now, wouldn't it? Yeah, of course it would. So first, let's take a look at the July 4th archive of her video, and okay, yeah, she's correct there. It came out on July 4th. That's fine, because next we're going to take a very close look at the New Zealand Crime Commission's report and see what they really have to say about all of this.
Okay.
So,
what they have to say about it? Okay. Yep.
Oh, okay. She's right. She's right. She's right again. Fuck! Okay, I just want to say thank you to all my patrons and good night.
Cancelled.
Oh, hey, sorry guys, it's Vadim again, and you know what? It turns out that's not all there is to the story.
No?
Yeah, but before I explain, first let me say that we are now trying to establish, in regards to just this alone, whether or not Lauren is correct when she says,
this claim is impossible.
Just that right there. Got it? Good. So this is probably going to be news to just about everyone who is not Lauren Southern, but yeah, this right here is pretty far from the first time that she discussed the Great Replacement. For instance, on June 22nd of 2016, her employer at the time, Rebel Media, who incidentally the shooter, I'll be referring to him as from here on in, made a donation to. More on that later. But yeah, they published a video titled, "We Want to Stop What We Call the Great Replacement." It's an interview with Martin Sellner, leader of the Austrian branch of the identitarian movement, Generation Identity.
We are on the brink of being replaced by immigrants.
It just so happens that gave very generously to Sellner, so let's put a big pin on him. Okay. In fact, let's put 56.
Okay.
Because he's going to be very important later. Now, this video and a longer version of the same interview were both deleted on the heels of Christchurch. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that the Great Replacement was probably mentioned at least once inside the interview about stopping the Great Replacement. Just a hunch. But other than that, unfortunately, we can't really speculate much on its content. But we don't need to, because you know what? It turns out that there is yet another video released in 2016, which is currently fully viewable on the Rebel News channel.
Is Europe doomed?
That right there is its suitably apocalyptic title, and in it we're informed of
the top reasons why Europe is screwed.
So among the reasons for its aforementioned screwing are immigration and Islam, Yeah, she squeezes that one in twice.
Really?
Birth rates, and these all build on top of one another to make a case for the final reason why this is happening, the Great Replacement. That's right, I'm telling you that Lauren has had yet another Great Replacement video out there for years with over 360,000 views, mind you. I guess it just hasn't been unearthed until now because it was buried under the mountains of toxic dumpster fire hell content that is the Rebel Media YouTube library.
A Canadian are these are Canadians. This is the part that like brings it home. Like let's you know, raise some alarm bells, you know?
Hey, watch it yourself. You'll see it's basically the same video, just jumbled around and a few mostly superficial differences, but it's a f***ing Great Replacement video. So between this and this, we can now definitely say that Lauren's claim that this is impossible is indeed wrong.
I'd love to be proven wrong.
Well, you're really in luck today then, Lauren. But first we're going to establish some of the similarities between your two horrible videos. Like for instance, here is the opening graphic to the Great Replacement portion of the first video juxtaposed with Lauren's explanation of the theory in the second.
The Great Replacement is a very simple concept. You have one people, and in the space of a single generation, you have a different people.
Wow.
Countless similar themes and general statements run throughout it.
With the disparities in birth rates, the non-Muslim population will continue to decline as the Muslim population multiplies in France well above the replacement rate. So Muslims had nearly double the birth rates of non-Muslims. It's only a matter of time before Islam becomes the prominent religion in Europe. And places like Molenbeek, Markslow, and the growing enclaves all over Europe. And that has become quite apparent in Europe as you see Islamists segregating themselves into their own enclaves. So simply based on these statistics alone and the current trajectory they are on, Camus' theory regarding France looks fairly sound. But the trajectory is all headed in the same direction until something changes.
There's talk of all of this, and probably a lot more that I didn't even catch. Even both her conclusions and explanations as to why this is supposedly happening are virtually the same.
Yeah.
Western ethno-masochism. Basically, white people hate themselves. Unfortunately, many of the people living in Western Europe hate themselves. Europeans actively invite the destruction of their tradition. They want their nation's culture and identity to die. And surprise, surprise, it's working.
Perhaps you notice a more urgent, apocalyptic, almost crisis-like tone there. Well, surprise, surprise, that's going to become important later. So put about 186 pins in that.
She's so airwashed.
Because we're coming back to it. And since we're already here, before we move on, let's hit a few things regarding Camus that Lauren Southern either lied about or did unforgivable horseshit research on. But probably lied about.
I found Camus. It said he was a left-wing philosopher, and I thought he would be good to quote. There I go, my intellectual quote for the video.
I thought he was one of you guys. Tee-hee. Okay, so the evidence you get for this mistake is a wiki article from 2017. Your screenshot cuts off all relevant information. You say he was Yale published and an LGBT rights campaigner. I guess Yale and gay equals leftist for you? Okay, not that it matters, but he was published just once by Yale in 1988. Fragments, no less. You neglect to mention that he supported Marine Le Pen in 2012? Yeah, super leftist there. Oh, and you left out the part about him getting convicted for inciting racial hatred. Okay, I'm getting a little nitpicky here, but for very good reason. Lauren, Renaud Camus actually wrote a blog post about you, and he is pretty ticked, by the way, at how you talk about him. He insists that he was only in a socialist group for just 2 or 3 years, 50 years ago, that he was never in the least a LGBT militant. His words, not mine. And he kind of really goes off about how you incriminated him to take the blame off yourself and complain that you're getting attacked when he isn't, and he's just like, nope. Anyhow, he seems pretty mad about it all, but I see you two still follow each other on Twitter, so just hit your boy Renaud Camus up in DMs, and I'm sure you can smooth things over. Next, you say that probably learned about this.
The exact same way I did, from the mainstream media.
And you also claim that it was this article that inspired this video.
The reason I made that video was I read this article in The Guardian called The Last Days of a White World.
Oh my god, I'm so good. No!
Now, you do mention the article here. However, not only is it nowhere to be seen in your first replacement video with the duck lips thumbnail, but we now know that 6 months before you knew perfectly well what it was, and were even talking with Martin Sellner about how to stop it. So the whole I learned it through the media thing, kind of a hard sell, kind of sounds like another huge lie. I think Sean said it better than I ever could.
Hello. Please don't take anything Lauren Southern said seriously. She's a bull***er.
Yes, she is a truly accomplished bull***er. She does it with important things, she does it with completely inconsequential things. I mean, listen to this bullshit right here.
Something that most people probably wouldn't realize. When I did that video coming back, once again, probably something none of you guys would notice, I lost 200,000 followers on YouTube. Like that. Just saying I'm going to consider other perspectives.
Oh no! They couldn't take the perspectives!
She got canceled.
Lauren, I Wayback Machine that, and you're right, that is indeed something
that most people probably wouldn't realize.
Yeah, because you lost 14,000 subscribers max.
Wow.
Here you are on June 4th, 2020 with 685,000 subs. This is the video you released right before the one that you're talking about here, and 4 months after that's up, you had 671,000 subs. Only off by 186,000. I think the really amazing thing about that is that you just really wanted to paint this picture that you are such a straight shooting truth teller now that 200,000 of your former subscribers, they just couldn't handle it. They just couldn't handle all those perspectives and the truth. But you were lying about it. Hello, 911. I'd like to request an ambulance. I'm about to overdose on irony.
Can you hold?
Yes, I'll hold. Part 2. Claims that make you go. He simply used the theory as a catchy title, Southern later said. It was not his inspiration, nor did it cause the deaths of 51 innocent people. Lauren, he didn't name it Snakes on a Plane. If he did, then maybe he'd be onto something with this whole catchy title thing. But you know, in order to make this video, I did something that I never wanted to do. Yeah, someone who has
taken 2 minutes to read
the manifesto here, top to bottom, several times. I highly do not recommend it. And the opening words are, it's the
birth rates.
It's the
birth rates.
And it's the
birth rates.
The term replace or replacement is mentioned 12 times in the opening 2 pages alone, 44 times altogether, invasion, invader, and invaders 62 times, diversity 28 times, and the attack was anti-ethnic replacement and anti-cultural replacement in origin 1 time. The report recognizes that the attack resulted in great part due to his underlying political views, particularly his ethno-nationalist views, and his belief in this theory. To say that it was no more the cause than PewDiePie, Candace Owens, or environmentalism, I don't even have a joke for that. That's just fucking stupid. Environmentalism is discussed on all of 1 page. It's a footnote. Now, I'm redacting most of this, but you can see that he explicitly ties it to matters of identity and immigration in every paragraph. Even on this 1 page, it's obvious that his overarching concern is for this delusional dumb fuck theory. There's an entire section in the report that is devoted to radicalization that discusses ethno-nationalism and the theory that you claim had as much influence on him as PewDiePie, how it's closely linked to ethno-nationalists, aka identitarians, and how his political thinking was primarily ethno-nationalist in nature. Why is all that in there if it wasn't his primary cause or just a catchy title? Oh, and finally, you know that part where you show the quote about when made up his mind? Well, check this out. Neat trick. You just go down 1 line and, oh my goodness, they are satisfied he came to New Zealand with a fully developed ideology based on his adoption of this totally dumbass theory.
Oh my God!
Next claims. Never watched any of my content. And
I am not named in the commission report once.
Okay, so this right here, you say it a lot. You said it in a false accusation of slander where you threaten legal action, no less. But how could you possibly know that? You can't. The report states that he took a number of steps to minimize his digital footprint, including removing his hard drive. They also have no doubt that the individual's internet activity was greater than they could reconstruct. As for where they believe he was radicalized the most, contrary to the initial belief it was Poland 8chan, YouTube for him was a far more significant source of information and inspiration. The report found that his use of it was far more substantial. He spent a good deal of time accessing extreme far-right content on YouTube. Now, Lauren, you may dispute that your videos fit that description, but the views that the report describes as qualifying as such are definitely to be found in loads of your videos, especially the videos that you deleted. More on that later. And finally, in regards to YouTube, his exposure to such content may have contributed to his actions. Indeed, it's plausible to conclude that they did. Now, in terms of creators he consumed, there just isn't any sentence in the report to the effect of X person inspired him or motivated him greatly or he watched channel X. They just didn't bother to document that sort of thing. So this is an unknowable. And as for this, well, Candace Owens was mentioned in his manifesto. Yes, he was memeing, but then again, she did say that incredibly stupid thing about Hitler, and she wasn't named. Richard Spencer received a donation, and he goes unnamed. They don't even bother to say.
Richard Spencer is not a white supremacist. He is a white nationalist. He doesn't believe in whites being superior.
Truth is, nearly all those cited by name fall into one of these categories, along with the individuals and organizations he donated to, a few of whom I'm pretty sure you might be acquainted with. So yeah, Lauren, your name wasn't mentioned, but to anyone who knows how the information in this report was curated, this just doesn't do the work that you wanted to. Hello? Yeah, sorry, false alarm, although I am having a little bit of trouble figuring out a way to get into part 3.
Why did this door explode like that, dude?
Oh. Part 3, paying it backward.
A journalist at the New York Times accusing me of receiving donations from the shooter to my media company. The only issue with this accusation is that it never happened. The donation went to Rebel News, which I do not own and am no longer associated with, and it wasn't even actually to Rebel News, it was to a legal fundraiser they simply ran the financial processor for.
Okay, so a lot to unpack there, but stick with me because this is where it gets good. Or if you happen to be Lauren Southern, increasingly horrible. So first off, this one, yes, technically incorrect tweet did result in Mashable and the Daily Dot getting the story wrong. They never corrected. That is journalism.
Wow,
I'll give her that. But by cherry picking this one aspect of the story, she makes it seem as though it was the source. And so all this misinformation just spread across the globe like a virus. The message is you just can't trust what you read about me. It's just classic well poisoning. Meanwhile, there's plenty of publications that reported it perfectly accurately. So there's that. Next, the money going to the Legal Defense Fund, well, it's not mentioned in the report. Literally, the only source that you can find for this is Rebel News itself, which is kind of tantamount to taking InfoWars at their word. But let's give this one to Lauren. Okay, so he donated to a legal defense fund. Rebel doesn't specify which. Could that possibly be because the overwhelming majority of legal fundraisers that they promote are for lawsuits that the Rebel media itself are involved in? I mean, they've sued or are currently suing Justin Trudeau, a Chinese lobbyist, vaccine passports, random people who've criticized them on Twitter, Canadian ministers who blocked them on Twitter, PayPal, the state of Victoria, the cancel culture mob, Make Canada Great Again hats, tons of news outlets and websites, Justin Trudeau, again, and Jessica Yaniv, who they repeatedly insist on dead naming because, of course. But the point is, there's way more. That was a very short list. The vast majority of their legal funds are for themselves, and I hope that saying that doesn't get me sued. Damn it! Next, the most common place to discover a Rebel Media fundraiser would be on their website, YouTube, or social media. That's pretty much how you find them, so I think that points to being an avid viewer. And why might that be?
The ultimate goal of the East is to convert or die.
Our nations are being invaded by millions of Muslim men of fighting age. This is a holy war.
Europe becoming Islamified in both culture and law could be a very real future.
In these houses are enemy combatants who want to kill you, maim you, and destroy you.
Multiculturalism as an ideology has failed.
Allah Akbar! They want to destroy our way of life.
Okay, you get the point, and I apologize for subjecting you to that garbage that I imagine
You
that
should apologize.
rather enjoyed. It's just extremely hard to believe that him donating to that channel was some kind of fluke, especially since in his manifesto, he stressed the importance of donating to those who helped his cause. And every other single person or organization we know of that he gave to does or did just that. I'm gonna show you guys these two graphics again, because they're pretty important. And just, I can't emphasize it enough. I really can't. So why would this one fundraiser, led by Canada's #1 source of alarmist, xenophobic, Islamophobic cringe, be an exception? Ah! But now let's take a look at a couple of other donations that Lauren chose not to mention here. His first donation was made to far-right extremist and skull-size measuring egg enthusiast Stefan Molyneux. Let's take a quick look at his oeuvre and see if we can figure out why.
You know, I've spoken against white nationalism.
I've always been skeptical of the ideas of white nationalism. I am an empiricist.
He's known for saying things like,
America within a generation will be South Africa.
And then staring into the camera way too long, like he wants to murder it. And of course, crying tears of joy in Poland because he had never seen so many white people in one place before. Anyhow, Lauren was a frequent guest on his channel.
They just praise and worship multiculturalism as if it's their new god. And no amount of death, it seems, can stop them from worshiping that god of multiculturalism.
Since she stresses this as an important date, we should note that she made at least 4 appearances in 2016 alone, 2 wearing merchandise from her Deus Vault shop. More on that later. They also toured together in both New Zealand and Australia, the country of origin for... by the way. And incidentally, while on tour, Lauren's security detail were the Lad Society, a just super crazy hardcore neo-Nazi group co-headed by, this guy. I should probably also mention that the New Zealand report discusses how this guy, Thomas Sewell, the head of Lauren's security detail, attempted to recruit but was turned down as his mission was well underway at this point. However, he did donate to them as well. And finally, in a closed yet infiltrated Telegram group, once again, this guy claimed that when he talked to Lauren, she was 100% red-pilled on race, Jews, and all this other stuff right here. Now that info comes courtesy of Mr. Tom Tanuki. So thanks, Tom. Now, he's a crazy Nazi, and they do tend to lie a lot, but then again, so does Lauren? Look, it was a closed Telegram group, so make of it what you will.
Oh, I see. He, infiltrated a Telegram group, and I guess he screen grabbed some, damning stuff and sent it to Hey, it's Vadim.
Lastly, we have the organization that he donated to the most, Generation Identity. Seen here at their weird summer camps where they don't look like some kind of Hitler youth cult at all. And of course, the figurehead of that group, whom he gave his single most generous donation to by far, Martin Sellner.
We were growing up under the shadow of the Great Replacement.
Now, Lauren made at least 10 videos with and or about these two, 9 of which are currently deleted, but I have them all. Yay, me. Collectively, they brought in at least 2,696,000 views in total. Yes, that figure is verifiable, and we're not even including numerous appearances they made together elsewhere. Like, for instance, a certain deleted interview on Rebel Media about stopping this. So let's review, and then I'll leave you with one question that you can answer yourself. Knowing that spoke passionately about donating to those he thought helped further the project of stopping the paranoid conspiracy that broke his brain, knowing that everyone he gave to did just that, knowing YouTube played a large part in his radicalization, that Lauren was a fixture on Rebel Media, that she also had close ties with the first individual he chose to donate to, that she signal boosted more effectively than anyone on YouTube, both the identitarian groups and group leader whom he donated to more than anyone, and knowing that Lauren not just documented and took center stage, but guided the freaking boat.
Get in front, Thomas. In front of the boat. Yes, in front of the boat. Go fast, go fast.
Oh, yeah.
In her most notable, notorious, and lucrative publicity stunt ever? Well, what do you think the chances are that didn't watch Lauren Southern's videos? Part 4, let's talk about Martin Sellner, Lauren, and Generation Identity. So Martin Sellner is a self-admitted former Nazi, but in his defense, he does say that there were no other options at the time for a patriot like him. So his hands were tied, cut him a little slack. He claims to have come from humble beginnings.
I grew up in the suburbs of Vienna, like in a middle-class Aryan family.
I'm sorry, what kind of family was that again?
In a middle-class
Aryan
family. Martin, I think you just said the quiet part out loud.
You don't really look very
Look, we've got to be
Indian,
fair here. I mean, Lauren Southern has said herself.
Their whole thing is we want to protect our culture. That is their message. There's nothing racist or white supremacist about it.
Là où il faudrait promettre à tous ces islamistes et à leurs complices une balle entre la tête.
Yo, arrête là.
Nous sommes la génération de la fracture ethnique, de la faillite totale du vivre ensemble, du métissage imposé.
Tu mentis.
On ziggy dans la rue.
Yeah. Man, these are bad people.
Oh, I'm sure those are just a few bad apples. Even though one of them was a spokesperson for Gen ID France, and there was a self-made promotional clip they released in there. But the truth is, for the most part, Generation Identity and Sellner are savvy when it comes to public perception. As one expert on extremism put it,
they wanted to fend off all accusations of racism. So basically, they turned to culture to not talk about race because they know that the accusation of racism could politically discredit the movement.
So the focus then became identity and culture because optics, which meshes perfectly with a number of statements that Sellner has made, like
that OK
this.
symbol is
I
all
completely
about.
understand that in the 1920s people said there's a Jewish question compared to an Islamic immigration today. The American alt-right and the American right is again dominated by this anti-Semitism, by the Jewish question. Complete misunderstanding of the time, complete strategical and theoretical failure in my opinion.
He gets all that stuff about the Jews back in the 1920s and all, but it was a strategic failure. Not moral or ethical, but strategic.
Just went about it wrong.
Optics. So now let's bring Lauren back into things. She has at times, I believe, tried to paint the super duper, extremely hard to believe picture that she was just a passive passenger simply documenting their actions. But we know that's not the case.
Okay.
She was an indispensable tool for spreading the group's awareness.
And if you want to help it out, where can people find it?
On
Yeah, no, please don't.
Getting excited about it and hopefully sending them some funds.
You're already helping us a lot, and I want to thank you very much for spreading the message.
Actually, you helped us really a lot. Thank
She's
you
signal
to
boosting
us
right
and all
now.
the American
This is
donors.
signal boosting.
She urged her viewers to.
Go to their website, donate, or even
Signal.
join your local chapter.
She even hawked their t-shirts.
For those of you who don't know, that shirt that I was wearing was actually Martin's shirt brand. It is a very comfortable shirt. If people do want to find his brand shirts, Martin, what is your website for that?
It's
The extent to which she glorified them is just... Take a look at this clip, for instance.
Generation Identity is a coalition of European youth from across the continent who are taking the future of their people into their own hands. Activists from Generation Identity have launched their second Defend Europe mission in an act of unparalleled organization and planning.
Oh my god, how thirsty is she there? I'm sorry, but she is just all kinds of horny for every single one of these immigrant hunting hipster dorks for staging this photo op that managed to stop a total of 0 immigrants. And by the way, guys, this is important. The horny, that's very important, because we're looking at the nature of the propaganda she created.
People like
Lauren made
watch
nearly
porn.
all these videos well before ever
enjoy the
donated to
porn.
Gen
They like to watch
ID, before he gave generously and corresponded with Sellner, and Martin offered to buy him a beer. Yeah, that's the thing that happened. And it was also before he urged his psycho friends at the Lad Society to donate to Sellner as well, and it has an entire page raging against NGO ships, a manufactured controversy loaded with just plain lies that these three pushed super hard. I mean, it was kind of their thing. I think there's a link there.
Oh my
Anyhow,
God.
for more on that, check out Lonerbox's stellar video on the topic.
Yeah, this is a really that video right there by Lonerbox is honestly really incredible. I watch it. He like takes apart Lauren's like this really strange like publicity stunt she did where she tried to stop some migrant boat and like people are like, what are you doing? Excuse me. Please don't do that. Go away.
Now, for more on that, check out Lonerbox's stellar video on the topic. Okay, so right now, I'd like you all just to close your eyes and imagine what kind of video would one have to produce to make this group seem as courageous, sexy, and brave as possible. Would it by any chance look like this?
About a year or two ago, during the peak of the refugee crisis, I found myself wondering, like many, what the hell is Europe thinking? Why are the people so complacent in this destruction of their identity when they know their people will be replaced with a different culture in the next 100 years? Where are the lovers of Western culture? I kept pondering this until I stumbled upon a video, or rather, a movement that has already begun the revolution.
Okay, yes, that's almost exactly what I'd want, but then ideally I'd like some really bad Limp Bizkit / Skrillex music to kick in or something shit like that. Those are some sick Nazi beats. Wait, what about the tiki torches? It's kind of Nazi stuff. We need tiki torches. Oh, we got the tiki torches. Everybody, we got the tiki torches. So yeah, I should have clarified, said something like, imagine how to make Gen identity sexy to the sort of alienated, angry, broken people that I think it attracts. But that in mind, it was everything I wanted and more. I mean, I wouldn't change a thing unless I could make it not exist. I have to say though, Lauren was indeed the Leti Riefenstahl of Generation Identity. I mean, that is some grade A horrible propaganda radicalization bait right there. So by the way, that video was titled Generation Identity, Europe's Youth Reconquista, a reference to the 700-year-long period in which Christians battled to expel Muslims from Europe, which GI would very much like to repeat. Their lambda symbol, the Greek letter L, refers to the Thermopylae, I have to be saying that wrong, the Thermopylae battle? Look, it's a battle, okay? And an often highly mythologized one at that, like in 300, in which, well, 300 Chippendales dancers, I mean Spartans, fought against Persian invaders. And I guess I'll throw in that this symbol, Deus Vult, is a rallying cry from the Crusades. Like this, it's very much a dog whistle. Basically a way of saying, hey, we need another one of those crusades to get rid of the Muslims. And by the way, Lauren had her very own Deus Vult clothing shop with her 14 words reciting rebel media buddy, Faith Goldie.
The only way that we're going to get Bethlehem back is if we launch the next crusade. So I think that we have to, Deus Vult.
So it's probably not a huge shock, but had several key crusade battle dates inscribed on his weapons. He was obsessed with it. You really have to ask yourself, when one is continually pumping out narratives like this.
It is a battle for Western culture and Western civilization
that are facing now, in fact, their end, their extinction.
What many initially thought was an easy to respond to humanitarian crisis has now turned into a battle for the European identity and for its physical survival as well.
When you're saying stuff like that all the time, invoking symbols like these, and constantly employing what are fundamentally violent terms like this in your propaganda, this is just one of many, by the way. What message are you sending? And how easily do you think cumulatively it can result in people simply taking the actions that all of it suggests? Part 5. The Great Replacement is not just a conspiracy theory. So while playing League of Legends on Twitch, Lauren had this to say about Generation Identity.
And you know what, that's the thing though, is no one ever actually criticizes the group.
Okay, so we're gonna do just that. But just for the record, Lauren, they've only been criticized in countless articles, some of which you've been in. I guess you never heard about all that. Documentaries, scholarly papers, reports from the world's most respected anti-extremism groups, and more. So, Lauren, what the kind of thing is that to say? I mean, again, I don't have a joke here. It's just stupid. You killed my cat, by the way. So we're only going to hit two things. That's really all that's needed. And the first is this in itself. This is very much an argument against generation identity because the ideology is just woven into the DNA of the movement. And it's more than just a conspiracy theory. It's a call to action. Now, I'm going to explain, but first, one of the biggest what the and oh, that's just stupid moments in this video is when Lauren first infers that her critics
make a mockery of counterterrorism
by connecting her to this tragedy. And then we get this.
What is an extremist and who is responsible for them? I have made you all a very, very simple list.
And she then goes on to give us these 3 points. It's really just quite the moment because, well, look at it. They're really, really, really vague, beyond simplistic, obvious, and dumbed down to the point where, of course, the ideas and rhetoric she spread just can't be included. And she acts as though she's done us some sort of favor by doing this. I've gone through the trouble of giving you this list that is deliberately designed for me to avoid any and all responsibility. Thank you, Lauren. That's really magnanimous of you. Now, not only is she ignoring so many scholarly resources that happen to be out there that she could have consulted on the topic, which is what actually makes a mockery of counterterrorism, but there is an entire paper from the ISD Global on how this specifically is capable of inspiring extremism.
Oh my god.
Yeah, dude, what's even stranger is that apparently she's read it, at least long enough to determine that she's not in it. She is in this one, though. Anyhow, the paper discusses how what they call crisis narratives are an essential component of this ideology's capability of inspiring extremism.
Okay, I'm enjoying this, but he broke his mixing. I don't know what he did. Yeah, he broke his, did he figure it out? Everyone makes mistakes. This is a bad one. That's gotta be rough, man. You upload your video and then people are like, hey man, you know that you mixed in something that you can't fix very easily.
Could be done ethically, like...
Okay, he does figure it out eventually. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting really still knocked, but it's pretty annoying.
It's hard is a call to action. Because what do you do when you're manipulated, conned, or deluded into believing that you're just a part of
a generation who refuses to fight?
When you really believe
Western Europe has totally lost their sense of national purpose and identity, and it's killing them.
When you're at that point where you say to yourself,
I'm convinced that this is the collective suicide of Western nations.
You have no real recourse inside this fiction that you've concocted in your head. You might just say,
no, we are not going to idly stand by and watch the death of our nations.
Because?
If you want people to stop dying in the streets, you have to do something other than change your profile picture.
You're teaching people that, people in their community are trying to destroy them, to upend their idea of culture. I think it's almost, a logical next step that some people will choose to act on it.
Now, Lauren has a truly hot garbage take on why statements like that are hot garbage takes.
The head of Weather Underground, William Ayers, ran a campaign of terror attacks. He donated $200 to Barack Obama's campaign. This does not make Barack Obama a terrorist. If someone is guilty of inspiring a shooting because the shooter was a fan of or consumed their content, if we take this idea to its logical conclusion, almost every single person with a political opinion on the planet is going to be responsible for terrorism.
Okay, there's just so much to unpack there. It basically boils down to an argument where political rhetoric doesn't have the power to inspire people to commit acts like this. And there's so much that I want to say, but it doesn't really matter because you know what? We know that she doesn't actually believe this.
The degree of how dangerous said misinformation matters. Like in Canada, the mainstream misinformation that there was a and mass graves discovered in Canada, which is causing churches to be burned down. Like, I'd say that's objectively very dangerous misinformation.
Lauren, that is you acknowledging that what, according to you, is misinformation has dangerous potential.
Holy shit.
Yes, indeed. Holy shit. Now look guys, I'm not an expert on that Canadian church stuff, but have a look at this awesome vid. And there's actually a debunking Lauren's avalanche of...
Okay, he didn't fix that. And we're still...
migration, also known as repatriation. Points.
Is this
Deed of banger. Alright guys, we got Cortez in the house. Meet me. Actually stupid. Just so you know, like this, it is absolutely a core component of identitarian ideology, and it's nothing short of dysfunctionally stupid and dangerous.
The concept of remigration is crazy. It would mean deporting thousands and thousands of people to countries which are supposedly their countries of origin, because their ancestors might have lived there, or because the color of their skin or their culture are associated with countries which are not France.
Yeah, we're essentially talking about developing white ethno-states here. Remember the whole peaceful ethnic cleansing discussions that irrational alt-right idiots were having back in 2017?
But yeah, I do think that something like re-immigration is certainly possible, and that it could be done ethically, like allowing African Americans to create a new state, say giving them, I don't know, all of Florida.
Give them all of Florida. Why didn't that become a bigger meme? But yeah, same basic thing, acting as though uprooting and forcibly deporting an entire culture or race would somehow lead to anything but a bloodbath. It's that.
La remigration, c'est quoi? C'est qu'une grande partie, ou la quasi-totalité des extra-européens qui sont en France, en Europe, retournent dans leur pays d'origine, en bateau, en avion ou en secoupe volante. Ils repartent chez eux comme ils veulent.
Side note, when I found this clip, suddenly this generation identity banner made a whole lot more sense. Now, of course, this all corresponds to...
so weird.
This was very much his goal. It's what he was trying to achieve. Basically, remigration is Generation Identity's final solution.
Diesen Leuten muss ich auch glasklar sagen, die einzige wahre Grenzsicherung ist Remigration.
And the actions it eventually took, well, that was his way of speeding up the process. So in this video we saw from earlier, Lauren makes the group seem cool and fun, doing boxing stuff at their Diet Nazi Fight Club. But before that, she speaks with this man, Jean-David Catin.
Les gens ressentent un sentiment de dépossession identitaire. Et ça, c'est un sentiment extrêmement violent.
And he wrote the book on remigration. Like, literally, there's a book, and he wrote it. Anyhow, in clips like this, where Sellner gives a 30-second pitch on what remigration is, they leave out a great deal of the details that would result in the insane human rights cluster their policies would necessitate. And of course they do, because optics. But don't be fooled. What this guy said is 100% true. This is the imaginary crisis that fuels identitarian groups' existence, and
there is only one solution: remigration.
So there you go, Lauren. Two, I believe, pretty solid arguments against the group, and then of course there's probably a dozen more in this video, but you know that by now. And hey, if you guys are all wondering, did Lauren know about that whole remigration thing? Well, there's this clip right here. By the way, the audio is like broken. I did not mess with it, but you can listen to this clip where she sounds like she swallowed a tank of nitrous oxide and judge for yourself.
Say tomorrow Europe changes its position 180 degrees. What hope is there for assimilation of these people who are already there?
Oh man, we're at the point, I think, honestly, in places like France where Camus' remigration idea is like one of the only things they have left.
Oh.
Part next. Hey, let's take a break.
Yeah.
So, hey guys, before the last chapter, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to all the awesome people who support my work. Here are my premium patrons scrolling by. It really, really, really does take a long time to research, edit, yada, yada, yada. And that support is 100% what makes videos like this possible. So yeah, you guys just freaking rock. Now, maybe you noticed that over the course of this video, I went to great lengths to hopefully not get demonetized. Fingers crossed. But the video just had to, and please consider... Individually, I don't think it's fair or realistic to pin the blame squarely on her. It takes a whole ecosystem of groups and key individuals to inspire acts like that. More than I can possibly fit in this scrolling set of pictures. But yes, she was a key player inside that ecosystem. She was a redwood.
And
we can't really know. So for the most part, I leave the facts as they are, and you do what you will with them. To be fair, there's probably a decent handful of people and groups who influence them far more, but does that even matter when she pushed so many of the same ideas as others we do know influenced him along with those people? Does it even matter when we can see so many commonalities between his manifesto and her everyday discourse and work?
Hi everybody, back with our good friend Lauren Southern. She is the author of Barbarians, How the Baby Boomers, Immigration and Islam Screwed My Generation.
He called them invaders, she called them barbarians and savages. They both believed humanitarian NGOs that are dedicated to saving lives were basically ruining civilization. They both thought Mandela was a terrorist, that diversity was weakness, and immigrants just couldn't assimilate. He complained about Madonna, Michael Jackson, and Freddie Mercury. She complained about Meghan Trainor? The All About That Bass Girl? What? Why? Anyhow, they both gushed over the Crusades. They both in their own way helped spread this theory, were obsessed and felt threatened by birth rates, thought Europe was in danger of being destroyed and the West was on its deathbed. They both hated globalists, baby boomers, immigrants, and Islam. He had the dates of key battles during the Crusades painted on his guns. She wore Deus Vult apparel from her own Deus Vult merch store. A great deal of her words are just like his on steroids. Some are indistinguishable. I mean, take a look at these two sentences. Can you tell who said what?
Do not suffer under the delusion of a democratic victory. Prepare for war. Let he who desires religious tolerance between the West and Islam prepare for war. Okay, all right.
Okay, I'm just gonna give you a second. You're gonna have to pause the rest after this. Okay?
Okay.
How about...
In my mind, a rainbow is only beautiful due to its is spelled wrong. Oh, come on. In my mind, a rainbow is only beautiful due to its variety of colors. Mix the two together and you destroy them forever. Western culture, instead of a melting pot, it's a bunch of ingredients left to rot separately? How did you get there? So the melting pot's not happening. There's no pot happening. You're just being left to rot. Okay.
This. How about...
The stripping of wealth and prosperity to feed our cultural competitors is terrorism. A dagger in the heart of global... Oh no, I wonder if he made that mistake. It's like in... A dagger in the heart of globalism in a purifying... Okay, I'll read it properly. A dagger in the heart of globalism in a purifying stream that will stop civilization from burning. The stripping of wealth and prosperity. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is like ELA 101.
This. One very quick thought that I wanted to expand on in this video, but I can't because we're running out of time. So hey, here's Jose. Here you go.
Okay, all right.
You can tell when someone's change is genuine based on what they do to make amends for the harm they've done. Lauren has done nothing to earn anyone's trust.
True.
Final thoughts.
True.
So here's two curious tweets I found, and they kind of sent me down a little mental rabbit hole. In 2015, Lauren responded to this account, which I swear this is not a Photoshop. Donald Trump actually once retweeted it. Anyhow, we also have this tweet from early 2016, and in both, Lauren clearly thinks negatively of this theory. If you don't know, this is the older bastard son trailer park brother of this theory. They're basically the same thing. They just repackaged it because optics. Now, Lauren might say differently, but you know what? One of her references to this video more or less says they're interchangeable, so they're the authority. Let's not argue. So this made me realize something. Although Lauren has been of the right, at least since her early teens.
My dad used to listen to Dennis Prager all the time when he would drive me to school, and this is when I was like 13, and he'd be driving us to school, and I'd love listening to Dennis Prager.
But I think there's some sort of progression that has to occur between listening to wholesome old Dennis Prager with your dad to, say, staging friendly Pepsi commercial recreations with neo-Nazis who started the American branch of Identity Europa, coined the phrase "you will not replace us" when he said to Shia LaBeouf, "You will not replace us with your globalism," and was jailed for pulling a gun on a man for looking Iraqi. There's a jump there. So I did some digging, and well, many know that if you look at Lauren's early Rebel Media videos, they nearly all revolve around topics like triggering feminists, safe spaces, getting kicked out of slut walks, you know, Walter Cronkite level stuff. But I decided to look at the upload dates, and I realized there were barely any videos on this sort of thing. There were 2, and these aren't them. It was uncanny. It turns out that to the date of this interview she conducted with Martin Sellner on this topic, all of a sudden, there's just this tsunami of videos on immigrants, refugees, globalists, oh my. Nearly 6 months from there, we get the Duck Lips video, and 1 month after that, she has a bit of a coming out party with Stefan Molyneux.
I will say that this book was also a coming out book for me to kind of say that I kind of moved towards more conservative nationalism, and I wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Lauren, why are you trying to get me in such trouble?
In May, she's off to France.
Flirt. That's how conservatives flirt. Right there. Look at that shit. Look at that shit eating. He is just lapping it up. She liked my words. She liked my words and thought they were good. And I changed her mind.
I wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Lauren, why are you trying to get me in such trouble?
In May, she's off to France to nearly have a conniption at all the brown people she sees. 1 month after that, she punishes the world with her second video on this topic, which, if you can believe, is actually significantly less alarmist than its duck-lip predecessor.
Your borders are disappearing, your culture is disappearing, and your people are disappearing. Europe is on its deathbed.
And I mention that because, well, she's playing the game. She's learning optics. Not long after that, she's the captain of a boat, performing acts of profoundly stupid cruelty masquerading as activism with a bunch of identitarian uber dorks. And the rest is highly embarrassing history. In the end, this video has been about Lauren Southern and I don't think he's the only one in the story who became radicalized. Take care of yourself, hug your cats, and good night.
This guy needs some sleep. Look at those bags. Oh, man, jeez. That was a good one. It was a bit long. Holy cow. And he totally screwed up like 10 minutes of it. But, yeah, that was good. That was interesting. Super interesting. Cool. That was a good video. That was a long stream. Covered a lot of cool, weird nonsense. I got some. Let's put on some. Yeah, here we go.
The company store, the paradigm of absolute control. And that's why we're just out here doing simple things, pointing out that we're meant to be in nature and be natural. And this is where we find the source that God made to transcend the New World Order. And that's why they want to try to keep us out of it.
I'm angry.
Thanks so much for checking out the stream, everybody. Hope you had a good time reacting. I don't do a lot of react streams. It's a lot of fun. So I can't deal with this video.
They literally crawl out from under rocks. They have green looking skin and they run around screaming, we love Satan, we wanna eat babies. I have them on video. Hillary's in the creepy weird sick stuff, man.
Such a banger of a song. So good.
She sleeps in the same room with that creepy weird woman whose mother wears a hood over her head. That woman number one is ugly. Imagine how bad she smells, man. I'm told her and Obama just stink. Obama and Hillary both smell like sulfur. literal vampire pot and the goblins are hobbling round coming after us. My spirit gets close to that evil and I feel it go. We're such self-centered crap. We don't even notice hell itself rising up against us. Millions of pointed people of the very worst type, and I'm so pissed. We're gonna stab your daughter at the mall. We're gonna stab your wife, your son. We're gonna stab you with a butcher knife, and then the police chief is gonna say, we love our Somalis, we love our Muslims. Oh, they're so good, oh, they're so sweet.
Okay, thanks so much, Alex Jones, for giving us a little outro music. We on out.
I write a lot of essays for school.
No, we don't care about this stupid ad. We on out of here. I'll be streaming Saturday. I'll be doing my my favorite thing. Let's just skip on. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, there'll be a stream this Saturday. It'll be rich food for poor folk. Not sure what I'm cooking this week, but it will be cheap to make, but delicious to eat. Also, just shout out to Halfway Full Black, who's popping off on Twitch again, something already. And yeah, thanks so much for checking out the stream. I'll be around. See you guys later.